So long, man. Have a good rest.
Fuck you! Help me! Taking maybe one step more. Get off to my left.
It's Friday night.
Actually, it's Saturday night. Didn't change the promo yet.
That means it's time for the Don Tony Show.
You've waited all week, and now it's finally here. Get Don Tony's perspective on current affairs in the world of pro wrestling and beyond.
And now, your host, the man, the legend, Don Tony.
All right, what is there? Issues with my mic over here? No problem. All right, is this a little bit better? Just a little bit better? I think the mic might have been a little bit hot. How's everybody doing tonight? Saturday night, October 9th, 2021. Is it better? Little audio check for, okay, good. All right. Sometimes the mic gets a little bit too hot for the show. Oh, boy. Got a lot of stuff to get into today. Shout out to everybody who is live tonight. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Man, I thought tonight would be more talking about Rampage and SmackDown and Crown Jewel, which is turning into, wow, one of the most stacked cards of 2021. I'm kind of looking forward to Crown Jewel more than WrestleMania. And then Tony Khan kind of had to take control of the conversation. And I got to be totally honest with all of you out there. Not for nothing. This weekend, you will learn, if you haven't figured it out already, all those disingenuous people out there that rather be sheep than have a little bit of backbone, and look at all the people that suddenly are away for the weekend, suddenly doing other things, talking about other things. Tony Khan made 2 tweets this weekend that got a lot of attention. The first one, everybody jumped on, along with yours truly. Now, before anybody thinks they know what I'm about to say with Tony Khan's tweet, relax. I think it's going to surprise a lot of people out there. The second tweet is the one that exposes the most just disingenuous people out there. Seriously, on both sides. On both sides. Now, I want to make a disclaimer. 2 disclaimers. Number one, almost everything that I tell you tonight regarding this situation comes from here, from memory. It would take me days to try to put together notes on this. But since I had a wrestling hotline starting in 1997, I lived through it in real time as everything went down. I had a kick out of this guy, JJ, earlier. Nice guy. No problems whatsoever. But when he tried to challenge me on what I'm going to say tonight about Tony Khan's second tweet, flashing back to 1998, first, he disagrees with what I'm going to say a little bit later about 1998, the Monday Night Wars, the Attitude Era, and us wrestling fans. Oh, man, I'm going to have so much fun with this tonight. And I hope to God, all of you out there, if you notice, you never see me on Twitter say, please retweet. You never hear me tell everyone repost. But when we get into this in 2-3 minutes from now, I hope you get the timestamp and post it everywhere if you agree what I'm about to say. But I got to kick out this guy, JJ, because when I started, and obviously I can't put my point across on Twitter because it's only 320, I almost said calories, 320 characters. But when the guy started challenging me, and he's like, oh no, I remember 1998. I remember the message boards. What Tony Khan said is true. This kid was 11 years old in 1998. Maybe it was still real to him, damn it, in 1998 as an 11-year-old. Tony Khan in 1998 was a 15-year-old. And this guy made a remark today that is so inaccurate, ignorant, and incorrect that I am so happy that he said it, because it exposes all those disingenuous people out there, the people that don't have the balls to call him out, that were old enough at the time. That was my second disclaimer. What I say tonight, talking about 1996, 1997, 1998, I exclude anybody out there that wasn't even embryos as of yet, that were too young to live through the Monday Night Wars. I'm not talking about those. There are some fans out there who are in their 20s, their teens, their 20s, maybe even early 30s, that maybe weren't wrestling fans or even alive in the mid to late 90s. So this is not directed towards them. Most of them are just AEW fans that appreciate all the hard work that not only Tony Khan is doing, but everybody behind the camera, in front of the camera. They just love it, and they support it. I was a hardcore ECW fan. ECW could do no wrong. Even the controversial stuff. Even back in the day, mass transit. So many people were like, you know what? He lied. He lied. His father was in the crowd. He's only 16. Well, what the fuck did you let him go backstage and work out for a match for? Get himself on the show. You know what ECW was. It wasn't their debut show. They were around for a couple of years. Your 450-pound teenager goes behind the scenes and wants to go hardcore, and you sit in the goddamn audience. If New Jack would have never did what he did to Mass Transit, you know what that father would have been doing? Taking pictures. Thank you. Seriously, God rest your soul, Mass Transit. Yes, work sucks. Work sucks. Oh, by the way, let's put it in perspective. In 1998, 1997, this was the big thing. Back in 1997, 1998, yes, I went into my storage. Beepers. Yes, it still works. It's not programmed, but yeah. Hey, Tony, did you have one of these in 1997? 14 years old? Anyway, let's get right into it. Let's stop beating around the bush. Tonight, we're going to talk about Tony Khan's 2 tweets. We're going to talk about Crown Jewel. We're going to talk about SmackDown. Next week's Super Sized SmackDown. That will be 2.5 hours on FS1. That will overlap the first 30 minutes of Rampage. Ah! Hey, Tony, I would be more concerned that the overnight rating of Rampage was 466,000 viewers. Since the first dance, it should have been the last dance. Because what happens when you go to a party and it's the last dance? When I used to go to clubs back in the 80s and the 90s, the last song, anybody that's my age or a little older, you remember? Shout out to the first person. And actually, you know what? Your choice of any t-shirt, any promotion, you could even choose podcasters I don't like. Tell me, if you went to clubs in the 80s and the 90s, what was the last song that 95% of the clubs out there would play before you were done? Anybody in the chat room know? Anybody want to take a wild guess? What was the last song that clubs would play? I'm curious to see. Take a Vape, Ross Vape. He got it. Vape, Ross Vape. Chaos, you were close with the Yankee games. Man, Yankees, especially when they won. Frank Sinatra. No, Vape, Ross Vape. DM me on Twitter. I know you are on Twitter. He got it. Donna Summer's Last Dance. We would be at clubs all night long. You have hip-hop, old hip-hop, freestyle, disco, this, blah, 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 blah. The last song was always Donna Summer's Last Dance. When you heard that song, that was it. They'd play like the 9-minute version of it, but when that song was over, everybody would start going home. People would go outside with the valet parking, wait for their cars. Other people who didn't pick up are just hanging around the bar, see if there's anybody that needs a ride home, even if they look like they had 3 tits, 3 chins, 3 asses. Maybe they weighed 3 pounds. You know, people would hang out. People would refuse to go home. They had such a great night. They don't want to leave. But little by little by little by little, people would leave. And you'd see the place dissipate. We're now, 7 weeks since the first dance? And their ratings are down 65%. Why? Because the newness has worn off. The new car scent is worn off. I said it from day one, AEW's ratings on Friday are going to range between 550 and 750. It is a Friday night, 10 p.m. to midnight. It is not a good time slot. You have so many different areas that you could watch Rampage. There's no reason why you should stop what you're doing on a recorded show, that you have the spoilers by late Wednesday night. It's now Friday night. You know the spoilers. When you have people out there, don't tell me spoilers. I don't want to know the spoilers. Don't tell me what happened. Bullshit. Back in the 90s, people were doing that. Don't tell spoilers on your hotline. I don't want to be spoiled. 99% people out there are not that, you ruined it. You ruined it, damn it. You go into a movie, you go to a play, and there's a big suspenseful outcome, fine. But when people do that, it's bullshit. So when people are like, I don't want to be spoiled. These are just whiny bitches. So Rampage is recorded on Wednesday. You already know the results. Now it's a matter of, do I not go out Friday? Do I go to sleep really late after a hard week's work? Do I want to hang out? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? Or do I want to watch first run, a pre-recorded show that I could watch Saturday afternoon, that I could watch Sunday, that I could watch Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? It's repeated over and over and over again. Why do you have to stop at 10 o'clock at night, no matter what? I got to watch Rampage. I got to be one of those 550,000 that are tuning in. For what? What, are you going to medal? Think Tony Khan is going to send you a private tweet? Hey, man, not only do I want to thank you for the support, but thank you for sacrificing all your Friday nights to watch us first run. That's why I always said the people that you care about the ratings are the advertisers, the networks, and the promotions. That's it. So now it's 466,000. And you got this Alfred guy that's on Forbes. He's a good guy. He's a good writer. I actually have communicated with him a long time ago. But he's saying that it's getting into like really seriously low territories. Based on who? The over-the-top fringe element of AEW that expected to have 9 million viewers? Dangerously low? Dangerously low to who? So anyway, so we don't know the overall rating yet, but the overnight is 466. The overnight of SmackDown was 2 million. And people are comparing the two. And that is wrong, because SmackDown starts at 8 o'clock and Rampage starts at 10 o'clock. So when people try to throw that shit side by side, you're hearing it from me. That is wrong. That is unfair to AEW. So far, I'm sticking up for AEW. All right. So here's the deal. Next week, SmackDown is on FS1 due to the playoffs. Now, if anybody out there remembers history with SmackDown being preempted on FS1 for the last 2 years or so, their ratings are a lot lower. Decent amount lower. No question. Playoff baseball is going to make it even lower. So what ends up happening, we got next Friday's Rampage. Pretty decent show. CM Punk versus Matt Sydal. Next week, you got Ruby Soho versus The Bunny. And you have the Inner Circle versus Men of the Year and Junior Dos Santos. Okay, 1 hour. Fun. SmackDown announced yesterday that next week's show will be 2.5 hours, not 2. So the last half hour of SmackDown will overlap Rampage. Do I think Tony Khan has a right to be a little bit upset at that? Sure. Absolutely. Welcome to competition. Welcome to business. Tony Khan has every right to be annoyed at WWE for doing that. Let me explain a few things as to why WWE is doing this. This is something that the disingenuous people out there will not tell you. Just like the Queen's Crown tournament. And you see certain people in that tournament. And you see certain people who are not in that tournament. Remember where the finals are taking place. Saudi Arabia. Some women do not want to go to Saudi Arabia. I don't blame them. It is still a very unequal country as far as rights go, and they stand up for a cause. It's about making history, but also not everybody is thrilled about going to Saudi Arabia. Look at what happened with the plane ride last time. Look at all the inconvenienced blue check marks that were so upset that they got stuck on the plane for 5 hours. Meanwhile, a lot of you out there probably have had that happen before. Yes, in Saudi Arabia, I'd be a little bit extra scared about it, but not every person in this tournament was ever going to Saudi Arabia. So any of those shows yesterday that did their podcast right after it, did they remind everyone that somebody like Sami Zayn likely is not going to Saudi Arabia, and maybe that's the reason why Sami Zayn will ultimately lose to Finn Balor next week in the next round of the tournament, or other people? Or did they just turn around and say, they're fucking killing Tony Storm? How could you do that to Liv Morgan? Oh, what the fuck is it? I bet you they give it all to Jinder Mahal because they're going to Saudi Arabia. Oh, man. WWE's getting, what, $50 million for this event? Think about the press releases for WrestleMania when they draw 20, 30, 40 million. Saudi Arabia is paying them what they make on their best WrestleMania sometimes. They get more on one event than AEW gets on their TV all year long, if I'm correct. That $144 million deal was broken up into multiple years. So when WWE is going to Saudi Arabia and getting that kind of cash, you're putting on your tux, you're giving them A-rated matches, you're getting the creme de la creme. And any wrestling fans out there that say, I'm sure you've heard this one, Sasha versus Bianca versus Becky, that's fucking epic. It's a shame that it's happening in Saudi Arabia. Why? Because you wanted it to happen in the United States. It's because it's blood money. Why don't you get mad at the people who are going to wrestle in Saudi Arabia? Instead of the evil Vince McMahon taking blood money from the Crown Prince, what about all the wrestlers making a payday? Do you hear any of those wrestlers turning around and saying, the money I make, I'm going to donate it towards this cause, the mistreatment of women in Saudi Arabia, the mistreatment of this, the mistreatment. Oh. You realize how much money they make? Now you start seeing how disingenuous people are. It's going to be an epic show. Why? The Saudi fans are not worthy for quality matches. That reminds me like that low-key Sonjay Dutt shit from 2003. By the way, later on, we got about 6 or 7 questions from our channel members. Might end up being a feature on almost every show going forward. You know, give them the opportunity to ask like one question and we'll answer it during the show. Got some pretty cool ones this week. So we're getting a stacked card, and this is going to lead to Tony Khan right now. Check out, and you know what? Before I go any further, obviously we're doing a show right now, so maybe you tune into it later on, but tonight, Impact Wrestling is doing their Knockouts Knockdown event. I think it's actually going down as we speak. Deonna Purrazzo is taking on Masha Slamovic. Non-title match. You know Deonna's going to retain. We got the Knockouts Tag Champs, Decay, defending the titles against Tennille Dashwood and Madison Rayne. Probably no title change there. A one-night Knockouts Knockdown tournament to determine who will get a title shot against Deonna Purrazzo down the line. And everybody that I know is rooting for one person. Here is the brackets. I think Tasha Steelz wins her match. I think Chelsea Green over Renee Michelle. By the way, Tasha Steelz taking on Jamie Senegal. For my audio-only friends out there, I obviously don't want to leave any names out. Chelsea Green, I think, will beat Renee Michelle. Rachel Ellering will probably beat Lady Frost, and Mercedes Martinez, the one that everybody wants to win this tournament. She will beat Brandy Lauren. Hell, let's go right to the end. I think Mercedes Martinez wins that tournament and will ultimately face Deonna Purrazzo. Mercedes Martinez didn't get a fair shake in NXT. Should not have had to, I don't want to say prove herself, but man, one of my most favorite women to ever come across women's wrestling that I saw live and in person. I was treated to Mercedes Martinez matches almost 20 years ago. I actually got to work 2 shows that she was on as well. I mean, just an awesome talent, and let her wrap up her career with a little bit of momentum. She's winning that tournament, in my opinion. Then we got the Monsters Ball in honor of Daphne. Much love, Daphne. We all miss you. Savannah Evans versus Kimberly versus Alicia versus Jordan Grace. Kind of want to see Kimberly get it for various reasons. And then you got an all-women's commentary team tonight. Melissa Santos, Mickey James, and Vita Scott. So nice event tonight. Nice event. GCW's having a big event tonight. Mick Foley's going to present the heavyweight championship. And Moxley's going to be there. And Matt Cardona. And obviously, you got your regulars there. That's going to be a pretty epic show as well. So, Steph, I want to give a plug for the Knockouts. They're having a pay-per-view tonight. I mean, Impact does a pay-per-view every other week. But, they're having a nice pay-per-view tonight. I think some people out there, I'll be honest with you, it's very unfair for me to say this. I actually am more interested on this event than the NWA Empower. Man, that did not live up to expectations, man. Still pisses me off how many indie women that are pretty fucking talented that have 1,001 matches all over YouTube. And they're like, hey, NWA, I know you can't pick everybody, but I would love for you to consider, you think you would invite them all to go. Sure, some of them may have had to pay their way. But man, you look at some of the very convenient names that they put on the show simply because of convenience, Forbidden Door my ass. Anyway, that's just my opinions on it. Sorry. I tell it like it is. May not like it sometimes, but I'm straight up honest. I don't care if my mouth, I do care if my mouth gets me in trouble. But anyway, so I wanted to plug that. So anyway, here is your current card for Crown Jewel. And that is my segue into Tony Khan. It's very important that I give you this card. Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks for the SmackDown Women's Championship. RK Bro versus AJ Styles and Omos for the Raw Tag titles. Big E versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. Goldberg versus Bobby Lashley in a no-holds-barred match. Edge versus Seth Rollins in a Hell in a Cell. And then you got the finals of the King of the Ring tournament and the Queen's Crown tournament. Now, we'll get into those brackets later on. But here's my point, and we'll lead to Tony Khan now. This is the next to last SmackDown before Crown Jewel. Next Friday's SmackDown is the last SmackDown to lead into a $50 million event in Saudi Arabia. When you have that much going down and revenue that would be a year's worth of TV revenue for AEW, yeah, you're going to pull out all the stops for the last SmackDown before that $50 million Saudi Arabia event. Yes, you're going to have Brock Lesnar on. Yes, you're going to have Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch in a non-title match. Will probably end in a clusterfuck. Yes, you will have the finals leading into King of the Ring and the Queen's Crown tournament. Yes, you're going to have Sonya Deville return to the ring to take on Naomi. Yes, you're going to have very, very big matches. They're taking an extra half an hour for a couple of reasons. It's not just Tony Khan. Baseball playoffs. They're going to save the big main event, Sasha versus Becky, and maybe the Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar confrontation for that last half hour to get that spike from baseball fans. If there's a blowout, I guarantee you people will be turning over to SmackDown even earlier. So yes, Tony Khan has every right to be annoyed that WWE added an extra half hour next week because Rampage starts at 10 o'clock. So SmackDown will be on during half of Rampage. As a businessman, as a multi-millionaire as Tony Khan and the Khan family is, to not realize also that this is a very big SmackDown because this is leading into the Saudi Arabia event, which is a huge, for stockholders, it's one of the biggest revenues for WWE. If that Saudi deal does not get extended or renewed after the initial deal, you watch how much that stock goes down in WWE. When you don't have that guaranteed $50 million per year for that Saudi Arabia event, you got to go find it for a different country or something massive somewhere. So Tony Khan knows that this SmackDown, more than anything, is because of this Saudi. Let me put it this way. If Saudi Arabia's Crown Jewel was not happening the following Thursday, I would almost bet the ranch that SmackDown next week would not be 2.5 hours. Would not. It would not. So to turn around and say, look, it's fucked up. If I was Tony Khan, look, it's fucked up. WWE's going to be on TV a half an hour while we're on. But Tony Khan's also got to understand what's involved here. What's more important for WWE right now? To get that $50 million's worth from Saudi Arabia, or to fuck with, for 1 week only, a show that gets 500,000 viewers? You explain to me the logic of that. Why would Tony Khan take it so personal? Why? Because he's nervous. And I don't blame him for being nervous. And it's not his fault. You know whose fault it is? It's the fault of the toxic anti-AEW fans out there. that when they compare that half an hour of SmackDown's rating versus the half an hour of Rampage's rating, and if SmackDown gets 1.7 million instead of their normal 2.1, 2.2, if it gets 1.7 million and Rampage gets 4 for that first half hour, he's going to get it rubbed in his face like shit. What Tony Khan should have also realized is that just like the 10 o'clock, this is very important. If you follow Rampage's ratings for the first 2 months, what have you noticed? That the first half hour usually has a bigger rating than the second half hour. It's usually that first quarter of Rampage is the biggest quarter of the entire hour. Okay. What usually leads into Rampage at 10 o'clock? SmackDown just went off the air. So you do have a certain number of SmackDown fans who do tune into Rampage at 10 o'clock. By 10:30, maybe they nod off, or maybe they switch the channel. Maybe they only keep it on for the first few minutes. See, this is what happens when you put the big match as the opening match of the night. You got some of these people out there, oh, look at WWE. They blew their load by having the Bloodline versus the New Day as the opening match on Raw. They didn't even make it a main event. They wasted in the first quarter hour. But yet Adam Cole wrestles the first quarter hour against Jungle Boy. And, no, it's okay. It's awesome. Oh, why do you got to put Big E versus Bobby Lashley at the first quarter of the show? That should have been the final, and they fucking around and this and that. But Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega, non-title, opens up the show, and that's hunky-dory okay. Well, now it shoots them in the foot because the first opening quarter, oh, it's awesome, it's awesome, it's awesome. Now that opening quarter has to go up against SmackDown. So you know what I would do if I was Tony Khan? Since SmackDown is going to air at 10:30, make the second half hour of Rampage the bigger matches than the first half hour. Simple, right? Not a big deal. Not a big deal. So anyway, once SmackDown announced yesterday that they were going to have Super Sized SmackDown next week, 2.5 hours, obviously it'll be final SmackDown before Crown Jewel, Tony Khan posts this tweet. I saw you're doing a half hour head-to-head with us. I can't wait to finally beat your main show head-to-head. It's been a long time coming. See you next Friday for Rampage on TNT. Now, that sounds like a very angry person. That sounds like someone who has WWE on the brain 24/7, 365. And yes, Tony Khan has every right to be angry. I defend him with this tweet because WWE could fuck with him just like they used to do with NWA TNA. They could change this, they could change that, they could change this. But the funny thing about it is when NXT was going head to head with AEW and NXT changed time slots, instead of just focusing, keeping your eye on the prize, keep doing what you're doing, let the fans rub it in NXT's face. Let the fans be the ones that say, we forced you on a different night. Tony Khan gloated about it. You think, you just keep gloating, you keep gloating, you keep gloating, you keep throwing jabs. Now WWE, in my honest, truthful opinion, it's not poking the bear. I don't believe it's poking the bear. The thing is this. Tony Khan tweets about WWE. WWE is not innocent here. I mean, WWE not too long ago posted a squash match with Britt Baker and Nia Jax. And I think that was right when Britt Baker was winning the championship. And yes, that was a dick move on WWE's part. Absolutely. The point is, it goes on both sides. It goes on both sides. Tony Khan has every right to be upset because Tony Khan knows what is coming after next week. All that fringe element that does not like AEW is going to compare those ratings side by side and rub that shit in his face. It feels good when the pro AEW fringe element rub in NXT's face for those Wednesday Night Wars. It felt good. 10 weeks in a row, 12 weeks in a row, we slapped their ass, this and that. Well, now it's going on the opposite side. And guess what? You know, AEW has been giving you pay-per-view quality matches on free TV. CM Punk versus Daniel Garcia was recorded on Wednesday. And everybody that I talked to said, man, whoever was there live or new people were there live, they said, man, make sure you check out this match. CM Punk's best match to date. And Daniel Garcia, who I don't even think is signed yet with AEW. And I even tweeted about it earlier this week that I'm now paying attention to this guy, and this guy has got an awesome future. As long as he can stay healthy and doesn't fuck up. Daniel Garcia has a bright future. So we knew for 48 hours that CM Punk had his best match yet, being back against Daniel Garcia. And even if CM Punk wrestled a blow-up doll, it still only drew about 500,000 fans. What does that tell you? What I've been saying since day one, that a majority of AEW fans were already CM Punk fans. And there was no big group of fans that have been sitting on the sidelines that don't watch WWE or AEW, but were gigantic CM Punk fans because of the wrestlers in the company, because of the style, because of the type of matches that you got. Chances are, if you were an AEW fan, you probably were a CM Punk fan already. You probably were a Bryan Danielson fan already. You look at that Ring of Honor style, New Japan, and if you see all these wrestlers coming in, chances are you're already into that niche. So now you realize that, okay, even though CM Punk is wrestling on Friday night, what happened to the 1.3 million people that had to see it? He made his debut because that was a memory that will last a lifetime. CM Punk's first ever appearance in AEW. You wanted to witness it live, must-see TV. Wrestling is not must-see TV like it used to be. And Tony Khan is dedicated to AEW. Tony Khan is dedicated to all of you fans of AEW. Tony Khan is dedicated to the wrestlers. But what Tony Khan needs to understand is just do what you do. Do what you do. You know, you can't relive the Monday Night Wars, and a lot of fans out there want the Monday Night Wars reincarnated, especially those that were either not born yet, too young, or maybe started following wrestling towards the tail end when Austin blew up, when WWE Attitude started peaking. That's when they started getting into it. I had people trying to convince me today that back during the Monday Night Wars, and now we'll get to Tony Khan's second tweet. So this tweet that he wrote, I am with him on this. You're not going to have a plethora of AEW fans are going to just tune into SmackDown instead. These hardcore AEW fans that are watching AEW, they're not going to betray AEW by not watching live on Friday night. That's anybody with a Nielsen box, I should say. You know, how many of you out there know anybody with a Nielsen box? I don't. How many of you out there, and I joked about this earlier this week, how many of you out there, when was the last time you saw somebody write online and post a picture, hey guys, look what I got today, a Nielsen box. Even if I don't watch AEW, I'm going to put it on and just leave my TV on because I support AEW. You don't know anybody. If people are hardcore AEW fans, they're going to watch whether SmackDown is on or not. You know what the problem is? And this is something that I said about 6 months ago. Anybody ever, seriously, Meltzer, and I support Meltzer. I've been a subscriber to his newsletter forever. That guy, I enjoy his work. Meltzer, Alvarez, anybody, Brandon Thurston, or any of them ever try to figure out, I don't even know if you can. Did they ever do polls? How many people who tune into Rampage also watch WWE? How many people who tune into AEW Dynamite watch Raw and SmackDown? Did you think when Dynamite gets 1.1 million viewers that all 1.1 million are not WWE viewers? I watch Dynamite. Everybody on the net that watches Dynamite seem to watch Raw or SmackDown because they're always shitting on Raw, especially. This fucking show sucks. How many people you see week after week after week? Do you realize how many of that 1.1 million also watch Raw or SmackDown? So now what happens? Forget NXT. Forget NXT. NXT is now developmental. NXT, even before, they were putting not ready for primetime players sometimes on TV, and some of the right and this and that. I mean, yeah, I know Triple H could do no wrong in this and that, and he's being fucked and all. Yeah, okay. But meanwhile, the ratings still were only 500,000-600,000 viewers. If you add up NXT and AEW, it would only average about 1.3, 1.4 million viewers. So now NXT is not on Wednesdays anymore, and AEW does about 1.1 million. So what does that tell you? Maybe 400,000 people out there don't watch AEW, but watch NXT. So when you now go to Friday night, SmackDown goes off the air. Now you got Rampage. When Rampage does 600,000 viewers, did you think that all 600,000 viewers are only AEW fans, that they don't watch WWE programming? So now you have SmackDown for that half hour and Rampage. Now those WWE viewers who also watch Rampage, now they have to make a choice. And if they choose SmackDown over Rampage, and now you realize that half of Rampage's viewers are WWE viewers, and now Rampage only gets 300,000 viewers for that half hour. What does Tony Khan do about it? Does Tony Khan post nasty tweets? Does he bitch and complain online? Does he try to give you the greatest match ever on TV to convince you? No, you have to keep doing what you're doing. Act like WWE does not exist. Remember when early on, and I appreciate all of you who are live right now, because I know it's a Saturday night, but we're having a very serious, intelligent conversation here. And I try to, always just throw it out there, so, even if it's an unpopular view, but it's straight up, most of it's common sense. But you remember about, 6-7 months ago, and we were talking about Dynamite and Rampage and everything. And, Tony Khan, instead of just doing what he does, to get more viewers, you post little jokes, little insults, little this, little that, little this. And after a while, people get a little turned off by it. And I want to post the second tweet to bring up a point. Okay. So Tony Khan posts that comment. And he gets a lot of people out there. It's just like, you remember on Dynamite, the Young Bucks, they tried to do the Indie Taker on Christian Cage outside the ring Wednesday, and they missed by a mile. Whoever works AEW's Twitter account reposted that and said, we hope Christian's okay. And it was one of the biggest wrestle craps in recent memory. And all of these radical AEW fringe element are like, AEW, delete this tweet. If you know what's best for you, delete this tweet, delete this tweet, delete this tweet, delete this tweet. They didn't want it out there because they didn't want it rubbed in. So now, because of Tony Khan's tweet, he has a legitimate gripe. Now, remember what I said 6 months ago. Remember I used the analogy that when AEW says that they realize they're not competition for WWE, all right? That was one of the best things that AEW could have done. Because when you don't feel like somebody's breathing down your back, you do what gets your fans happy. And in the process, you hope you get more fans to watch as well. Bob the Builder says that's what he appreciates. Not biased, understands both viewpoints, unlike my phone. Well, you know, everybody has a right to their opinion. By the way, there's a very interesting question coming from our channel members. Somebody asked me if I would do a reunion episode. Stay tuned. But I compared it to a restaurant. When AEW was doing the interviews and saying, look, it's not a war. It's not competition. We understand how big WWE is. We just want to do what we do. And you remember the announcement of Rampage? We want to get that audience that is fell out of favor with wrestling. And that was fine. That was great. You focus on why you're good. Don't look at WWE's competition. Act like they don't exist. Keep doing what you're doing. Eye on the prize, eye on the prize. It's not going to happen overnight. And then what started happening? You get these articles out there. Oh, AEW is something that WWE hasn't had for 20 years. And then you have some people saying like, Tony Khan is the most successful person in wrestling in the first 2 years in the history. Yeah, well, maybe 40 years ago, 30 years ago, when UWF and all these other promotions were trying to get, maybe they didn't have Twitter. Maybe they didn't have YouTube. Maybe they didn't have Hulu, streaming media, YouTube TV, all these other things. Maybe they didn't have the cable networks, the TV deals like they do now. So, of course, it's easy to say now because of what's available technology in 2021 compared to 1991 or when these things were around. So when it's starting to go to his head. So instead of just eye on the prize, you know what happens? The analogy I used before. You have a restaurant. We'll call it World Dining Entertainment. You have a restaurant. Been in business for 60, 70 years. For over 60 years, the leader in dining entertainment. Now you got Tony Khan. Hey, I want to open a restaurant half a mile away. We're not competition to that restaurant. We know what that restaurant could do, but we want to offer our dining experience. We think that there's a lot of people out there that don't like that other restaurant. And we want to offer our menu, and hopefully everybody enjoys it. So what happens? He creates the menu. He sets up the restaurant, sets up this, and guess what? He's got a whole bunch of investors. Hey, I love this. Hey, we'll advertise you. We'll do this, this. And then what happens? That big World Dining Entertainment, even though that little restaurant a half a mile away is saying, no, we're not competition. Guess what? The World Dining Entertainment, the WDE, they don't want anybody in business. They want every cent of every revenue in the neighborhood. They want everybody to go to their restaurant. That doesn't make them fucked up. They want business. They want to get as much as possible. So even though that little tiny restaurant may think like, oh, we're not competition, we just want to offer an alternative. That big restaurant, all right, maybe in the beginning, hey, good luck. Remember Triple H's tweet? Hey, good luck. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So what ends up happening? The little restaurant opens up. It gets a whole bunch of attention. Hey, did you see this new restaurant? Hey, they got pretty good food, pretty good menu. You got to see this cook. His name is Kenny Omega, Chef Omega. He makes all this stuff, and they got these, young bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, and these servers and this and that. And look at all these. Wow, it's pretty cool alternative, different dining experience. They got different music, different this, different that. They got this guy Ruckus and they got all the. Look, it's all different. Then what happens? It starts getting a little bit bigger. Couple of newspapers cover it. You got all these people online that are trying so hard to get a job with AEW, to do an online show for AEW, to get a hand job, to get a like, a retweet, something to follow, anything. Notice me, damn it. You see these people out there? Everything's epic, amazing, unbelievable. I'm shaking, I'm nervous. I can't. You think these successful people in the world sit back and say, those are the people I want to get behind? No. Those are the people that when Tony Khan does an interview with CM Punk and does this, what is it called, a scrum? He does a scrum and somebody asks the question, who is that? Oh, they're a big supporter of us. In fact, I think they are too much of a supporter, too big. You don't think some of these people out there, they're not stupid. They appreciate all the free advertisement. They appreciate people saying, hey, this is awesome, epic, unbelievable, this, and that. After a while, they're like, this person is a little overly obsessed with what we do. These people don't have the balls to challenge the God, Tony Khan. They can't. That's why they all disappeared with tweet number 2. And what happened? When he put that first tweet up, and he had a lot of people saying, Tony, I don't think that's a good idea. Why are you posting this tweet? I don't think it's a good idea, this, and that. Like, blah, 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 blah. So what happens? Tony Khan starts talking to the people that are overly whack jobs. Not all of them. And I'm not saying that this Mr. Snowden is. But I don't know what Mr. Snowden's age. But here is where Tony Khan, without a doubt, has the dumbest tweet of the week, and I will prove it to you. And if you disagree with me after, I swear, post it in the comment section. That's not a ploy to try to get bigger statistics here, but tell me where I'm wrong. And I'll listen. Check this out. You got to see this. This Snowden, who's a blue check mark, also says, people are for real mad that Tony Khan is up for WWE's challenge next Friday. WWE never made a fucking challenge for Rampage. All these people made the challenge up. He says, did people get their feelings hurt back in the day when Bischoff challenged Vince to a fight on TV? I think not. But maybe I'm giving us old school fans more credit we deserve. Okay, that's a dumb enough tweet in itself, and I'll explain why. And I have some respect for this Snowden guy. And when I explain why I think it's a very ignorant tweet to say, I'll get to that. Tony Khan's response to this guy is one of the dumbest comments. And I think Tony Khan is really starting to get into really dangerous territory because there's a difference between shots fired and being triggered. This is what Tony Khan had to say about 1998. He says to this Snowden guy, dude, Necro Reefer. If you're a Grim Reefer fan, much love, even if you're not. He says, dude, people online were absolutely furious over that in 1998. Wait. In 1998, people online were furious at Eric Bischoff wanting to fight Vince? Oh my God. I'm getting an erection just thinking about what I'm going to say. A verbal one, emotional, mindgasm, not physical. Eric already had crazy online heat before that too. I'll never take it that far. I never claimed that I could physically beat Vince. I'm sure he meant beat, not best. I just think AEW could put on a better wrestling show than them, and I want people to know it. Let me explain something to Eric Bischoff. To Tony Khan. This guy just said that Eric Bischoff, the internet was absolutely furious over Eric Bischoff challenging Vince to a fight on TV. Let me give everybody a little bit of a history. This was the New World Order promo of Eric Bischoff challenging Vince McMahon to a fight on May 15th, 1998 on WCW Thunder. Couple of days earlier, which was either May 11th or May 12th on Nitro, that's when Bischoff came out with the motorcycle It's good to be king. Guys, gals, go on YouTube after the show and just search Eric Bischoff challenges Vince to a fight. Look at the YouTube comments that go back 14 years. 99.9% say, what an awesome promo. That was awesome. That was this, that was that. You want to go further, go on Wayback Machine and just look up Prodigy chats or transcripts, websites, my website, and onewrestling.com, when Shearer and Mike Johnson and Buck Woodward, when they were still on that website. And what you will find in 1996, 1997, 1998, 1999, nothing about absolutely furious internet, angry at Eric Bischoff for challenging Vince to a fight. Eric Bischoff was challenging Vince to show up at Slamboree 1998. Eric Bischoff said in countless interviews over 20 years, he didn't even know what they were going to do if he showed up. He wanted pay-per-view buys. He wasn't threatening to assault a person. He was trying to get him on TV. Why? Oh, get ready, everybody. Chat room. Another shirt. First person that could come up with this. Chat room. What happened 2 weeks before Eric Bischoff challenged Vince McMahon to a fight at Slamboree? First person in the chat room that posts it. What happened 2 weeks? 2 weeks, not 2 months, 2 years, 2 weeks before Eric Bischoff made that challenge to Vince McMahon. There's like a 5-second delay, but I guarantee you that answer will be coming up literally in seconds. Let's see. Let's see who posts it. What happened 2 weeks before? Just 2 weeks. What happened 2 weeks before? Thank you, James Campbell. Any shirt, DM me. You know how to reach me. Guys, gals, April 27th, 1998, 19 days before that happened, DX showed up at Monday Nitro. That's why Eric Bischoff issued the challenge to Vince. DX invaded Nitro, or tried to invade Nitro, and Nitro didn't even know what to do. Eric Bischoff said in hindsight he wished he would have opened the gates. If DX would have showed up on Nitro, and then what? Yeah, Meng and some of the other wrestlers probably would want to legitimately beat the shit out of DX, because you don't do that to the boys in the business. You don't try to sabotage. Everybody's trying to make a living, this and that. If you would have invaded, just I'll give you a great example. XPW on the Northeast. It was coming to Philly in 2002. I worked for XPW at that time. 3 weeks before XPW had hostile takeover in 2003, and anybody that goes back with me, or 2002, and anybody goes back with me on the hotlines in 2002 have heard me tell this story 1,000 times over. CZW, Combat Zone Wrestling, had an event at the ECW Arena. And what me, Timmy Austin, God rest his soul, the ECW zombie who is no longer with us, my hotline co-host, Matt Zombie, Brian Damage, Timmy Austin, and myself, we drove to Philadelphia. We bought tickets for Combat Zone Wrestling. We walk in there, and I think John Zandig, had meat hooks. It was like crazy hardcore stuff. We walk in there, we're watching the show, and Timmy Austin's like, hey, and he goes and he sees a whole bunch of his friends that wrestle for Combat Zone Wrestling. So he's mingling with them and this and that. Oh, why are you here? Oh, yeah, just hanging out, this and that. Why did we go all the way to Philly? Because we were going to flyer every car that was in the parking lot and around the corner. We were going to put the cards for Hostile Takeover on the windshields. We drove all the way to Philly just so while everybody's watching CZW in the ECW Arena, we were going to put flyers on everybody's windows that XPW was going to be there in a couple of weeks. So we do that. We put them on most of the cars. We come back in because we had tickets. We acted like we were going outside for cigarette breaks. somebody came in and said, hey, those guys are flying, or they're XPW. We literally took the cards, threw them up in the air, ran out of the building, laughing our asses off, because nobody, and we got in the car, we left. But later on, we realized there was a whole bunch of people in there that probably wanted to beat the shit out of us because of what we were doing. See where I'm going with this? So when DX shows up 2 weeks before, Eric Bischoff, okay, how do I counter that? Oh, we got Slamboree coming up. Hey, Vince, why don't you meet me in the ring? It's sports fucking entertainment. Eric Bischoff had no idea if Vince would have, you think Vince would have showed up? Let's fight for real, damn it. Vince McMahon has been sports entertainment since the 80s. I have video from 1985 where Vince McMahon is calling it sports entertainment. You think Vince suddenly, shoot. There's never any inclination of that. Eric Bischoff knew Vince McMahon wasn't going to show up because he knows that's not what Vince is about. Vince is about sports entertainment, not real fighting. Eric Bischoff's a black belt in karate. Probably would have laid Vince out. Eric Bischoff issued the challenge because he knew Vince was not going to show up. The internet was not in an uproar. This was the Attitude Era. How many times have I said in the last year on these shows, the difference between 2021 and the 90s was, how many times you heard me say it? I'm an ECW fan. My friend John is a Raw fan. This guy's a Nitro fan. This guy likes everything. This one is more into like old school stuff. This one still thinks AEWA is still in existence. This guy is old school NWA. But at the end of the day, we were bragging that we were wrestling fans. When the ratings were 8 and 9 in the ratings, and we would go to school, suck it, da-da-da-da. Austin, The Rock, NWO, DX, Flair, Horseman, Sting, Luger, Brawl for All. Yes, at that time it wasn't, as negative as everybody thinks. We were all proud to be wrestling fans. Find me on Wayback Machine one incident where WCW fans got into fistfights with WWF fans. Tell me where you saw all these altercations. You never saw it. We bragged that wrestling was so cool. Holy shit. When Bischoff, and again, most of it's from here, when Bischoff issued that challenge to Vince McMahon, with the exception of a preemption a week before when Nitro did like 2.5 in the ratings, Nitro was averaging 4.1, 3.6, 3.4, 3.8. Raw was averaging 3.8, 4.1, 4.0. They were almost tied in the ratings, but wrestling was doing 8s in the ratings. You think I'm lying? Go look it up. In 1998, in April of 98, Tony Khan was 15 years old. 15 years old. And billionaire, multi-millionaire Tony Khan now, owner of AEW, where people need to be sheep that are too afraid to just speak their mind and tell the honest truth because they think that nobody would follow them, nobody would like them, people would delete them, wrestlers wouldn't talk to them, wrestlers wouldn't follow them. They'd rather just, no. 15-year-old Tony Khan knew the internet was furious. I had a wrestling hotline in 1997, almost a year before Bischoff issued that threat. Everybody at that time thought it was fucking cool. That, oh my God, the forbidden door, the forbidden fight. Bischoff, Vince, you think he'll show up? You think he'll show up? Look at the pay-per-view buy rate for Slamboree 98. They had a jolt. Look at the ratings of WCW after he issued that challenge. For the next year, they at some points were in the 5s. WWF was in the 4s and sometimes in the 5s. Wrestling had ratings that were mind-boggling. Wrestling's on the TV. Look at these TV guide cover. I happened to take these out last week. Remember last week I showed everybody these? The date is December 5th, 1998. The same year that Bischoff challenged the fight. You see a little pattern here? WCW and WWE. TV Guide had them both. Everybody embraced both. We just fucking loved how awesome wrestling was. And then you had ECW, Heatwave 98, probably my favorite ECW pay-per-view of all time. 1998 was incredible to be a wrestling fan. The internet was not bitterly, absolutely furious, but Tony Khan, maybe amongst his 14-year-old friends, and I'm saying this to give him the benefit of the doubt, maybe with his 14-year-old friends, it was still real to him, damn it. Because a lot of us, when we were 11, 12, 13, 14, a lot of us still thought wrestling was real. I mean, 14-year-old Tony Khan, 15-year-old Tony Khan, hanging out in Prodigy chats, I guarantee you a lot of people he was talking to, it's still real to them, damn it. And if that's how they felt, that's fine. But to turn around 23 years later, after Bischoff has done countless interviews and everybody in wrestling has talked about the Monday Night Wars, after 23 years, this guy is claiming that the internet was furious at that time. He's trying to justify now and is trying to say, I'd never do what Bischoff did. They were furious at Bischoff and I would never do. It's a fucking lie. And no one out there will challenge him on it. And here's the funny things about it. Okay, look, check this out. 1997. Were the fans absolutely furious at WWF making fun of the Nacho Man, the Huckster, Scheme Gene, Billionaire Ted? Were the fans absolutely furious that WWF were putting in quote-unquote newspapers, hey, stockholders, Ted Turner lost $40 million of your money because of its vendetta? Were the people absolutely furious? Were they furious in 1997, 1998 when Jim Cornette was going on Raw and disrespecting the entire roster? Was anybody absolutely furious at that? Were they absolutely furious at ravishing Rick Rude? Oh my God, November 1997. Oh, how much a difference a day makes, whatever he said. Was anybody absolutely furious at that time? What about 1998 when Kevin Nash showed up as the promoter in WCW making fun of Vince McMahon? All right. Was the internet absolutely furious at Medusa taking the WWF Women's Championship and throwing it in the trash? No. But Eric Bischoff challenging Vince to a pay-per-view fight at Slamboree, knowing that he would never show up, 2 weeks after this happens, and that millionaire, multi-millionaire owner of AEW writes a tweet like this. Excuse me, sorry. He writes a tweet like this. Sorry. There we go. Better. Oh, oh, here we go. Good. Let me repeat what he said before. Dude, people online were absolutely furious over that in 1998. Eric already had crazy online heat before that too. Bullshit. Bullshit. This is a guy that either was too young to understand the Monday Night Wars or is trying to rewrite history because shit was going on between WWF and WCW. Shit, I didn't even put up the fake Diesel and the fake Razor Ramon. I didn't even put up Gilbert. Was the internet absolutely furious at Bill Goldberg when he showed up on Jay Leno? Hey, Austin, I put up $100,000 of my own money, any place, anytime. I still remember that to that day. Was anybody absolutely furious? Oh my God, Austin 316. Everybody shaved their head. Everybody had 316 shirts. Everybody was doing this to everybody that they knew. Were they, who is this fucking Green Goldberg? The fucking Goldberg. Who is this guy showing up? Austin, I'd put up $100,000 of my own money. Wasn't real. They're all in sports and goddamn entertainment. Tony Khan is acting like it was real. Fans were not absolutely furious at Bischoff. We wanted to see that fucking fight. You think Vince could take Eric? You think Eric could take Vince? Oh my God, I got it. Absolute lie. And the worst part about it, everybody, the worst part about it is this tweet that Tony Khan wrote has to do with SmackDown going 2.5 hours next week. Let me remind you the first tweet. I can't wait to finally beat your show head to head. Hey, Tony, if you finally want to beat that show head to head, call TNT right now and ask TNT, please, can we do a Monday night special? One night only. TNT, could we please on Friday night, one night only, 8 o'clock? Do it. You think TNT's going to say no? Why doesn't he do that? I can't wait. See what I'm talking about? He's got WWE embedded in his head. And it is awesome. Don't get me wrong. It is awesome to have loyal, hardcore AEW fans. I was that way towards ECW. I loved it. Ate, slept shit, ECW. I had the opportunity to work for them the final year pushing tickets. Memories that'll last me a lifetime. But as these little things happen, you're starting to realize how much Tony Khan has WWE on the brain. Now, for all of you out there that are really hardcore AEW fans, I ask you this honest question. Do you think Vince McMahon has AEW on their mind 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or even to the point that they can add a half an hour to SmackDown if they want to? They can't do it on Fox 5 because, well, here it's Channel 5, because you got the local news at 10 o'clock. But you see where I'm going with this? I mean, it's WWE. They're about getting the record revenue, Madison Square Garden, the highest grossing SmackDown event in its history. Austin, McMahon, The Rock, DX, anything you got, Flair, NWO, anything that ever transpired on SmackDown since its debut, this past Garden show was the highest revenue that they've ever generated for a SmackDown episode. You think they're that concerned about AEW? To do a half an hour? Why not air specials on Fox FS1 next week? 10 o'clock, FS1, blah, 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 blah. This, bonus, everybody. We do this. I don't think WWE is looking to strangle AEW by having that half an hour over on next week. They're doing that half an hour because of the Saudi Arabia $50 million show. Tony Khan took this so personal that the original tweet, he had every right to be upset. But this guy is responding. He's responding to so many people online trying to retort and bringing up 1998 and saying that Eric had this credit. He's trying to compare the Monday Night Wars to this. Big mistake. And I think a lot of podcasts out there, a lot of writers, a lot of bloggers, a lot of blue check marks that really, really support AEW that would never dare challenge him on what we just talked about. Deep down inside, they're saying, Tony, stop revealing how obsessed you are. He sounds like Ted Turner. I can't wait to finally beat you. Have people tune in because you're good, not because they're bad. Look at this comment, the last sentence of that tweet he said to that Snowden guy. I think AEW could put on a better wrestling show than them, and I want people to know it. If we know it and we want it, we will watch it. Writing these remarks, having these people call people retarded and stupid and this because you simply say you like WWE. How many people out there that truly like WWE more than AEW, and simply because you go online and you say, hey man, I got to be honest with you, I actually like WWE more, I just can't get into AEW, and you'll be showered by this fringe element. What are you, fucking stupid? What are you, fucking this? What's wrong with you? Blah, blah, blah. And guess what? You know, you don't see the people in AEW saying, look guys, I know you all support what we do, but you can't be, they do bullying campaigns. All the wrestling companies do anti-bullying, anti-this, anti-do that. But when that fringe element rips WWE to shreds, that will write insanely overly positive stuff. Look at that opening match on Dynamite. That was a train wreck. And if anybody likes train wrecks, there's nothing wrong with that. That is a niche audience, but when people out there see all the crazy botches and see some of the stuff that go down and still right afterwards, that was one of the greatest matches I ever saw on Dynamite. After a while, it gets pretty obvious. If you watch people close enough, how they comment, you could tell, who is truly a fan and loves it and supports it. We brought up Thursday about Joey Ryan, the dick flip. I absolutely hated that stuff. Mick Foley one time defended it. And Mick Foley's excuse was, look at the crowd. Look at the fans that were there. They were laughing. They were having a great time. Nobody knew, truthfully, the outside behavior of Joey Ryan, at that time. I mean, some people knew, but you, everyone else, we didn't know. Mick Foley didn't know. Nobody knew. But Mick Foley was, look at those fans. Yeah. There are fans for every niche of wrestling. FMW, that was not the dark side of wrestling. FMW in the 90s, I brought this up the other day. Go look at the wrestling magazines in the mid-90s and look at all of the coverage that FMW got. The beautiful sparkles and the still shots and this and that, and Foley with blood all over his head. And look at all. You tell me if you see those magazines saying, this is disgusting, this is the dark side of wrestling, this should not be. No, everybody was trying to sell magazines. But now 20 years later, suddenly it's just like The Ultimate Warrior. The Ultimate Warrior was epic, great, not a spectacular wrestler, but was an awesome performer. Look at the crowd pops, look at the insane reaction. And then all of a sudden, Ultimate Warrior is a whack job. The self-destruction of The Ultimate Warrior. And then for some reason, somewhere, a video game got plugged, and then the Hall of Fame, and then there was a little bit of repentance on both sides and handshakes, and then he's back on the good grace of WWE, and then suddenly, everybody is celebrating. There's an award named after him. What happened to the self-destruction? Did he have a Renaissance tour? Did he start training and eating his vitamins and saying prayers and rejuvenate his career and he recreated himself? No, he was retired. You see what I'm saying here? There's people out there, there's too many disingenuous people out there, and Tony Khan has to be really careful, and I mean this in the utmost sincere way. Tony Khan needs to be really careful, because when all the people online are showering you with certain views, epic, amazing, unbelievable, I'm shaking, I'm crying right now, this is unbelievable, it's the greatest thing ever, this and that, calling him God, boss, Godfather, the real this, the real that, the real this. And yet WWE is getting record profits at arenas, is now going to have, the Royal Rumble or whatever it is, on a record number of fans, $50 million deals with Saudi Arabia, $1 billion streaming deals or TV deals. All right. WWE is not going away. How many of those same people told you 6 months ago that WWE is dying, that WWE is going to be sold, that WWE is losing revenue in droves, and AEW has got WWE right where they got them? Tony Khan's got to stay away from that noise, because all these people out there, like I said, one of the biggest compliments that I ever get in wrestling amongst wrestlers, and I've showed you proof from various wrestlers over the years, some people don't want their names public because they don't want to get cancel cultured or shit on for various reasons. But the one thing that I have been told over and over and over again is, you say what's on your mind. And that is not a popular thing. That is not the norm, unfortunately, anymore. And you speak your mind even if it's an unpopular view. And I'm not the only person. There are a lot of people out there that still do that. And there's a lot of podcasters out there that still do that too. but you realize that the ones that matter, mostly blue check marks, Tony Khan responds to them. And most of these people, they're not stupid. Bobby Fish just gets signed. This person just gets signed. Now you got, what's his face? Was it Marty Scurll the other day? Who was the wrestler the other day that said, I could take Kenny Omega. I could take Adam Cole. I could beat them. I could put rings around them. Not trying to start controversy. He's trying to get a payday. A lot of these wrestlers out there, they see what they could possibly get with Tony Khan. Now on Monday, Mish and I will break down some of the revenue that some of these wrestlers get on YouTube and on Twitch and some others. And it goes back to what I said before. The WWE $300,000 deal is not what it used to be. So, okay, I can make $300,000 with WWE, but I gotta travel 200 days a year. I can't do this. I can't Twitch. I can't play games. I can't hang out. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't do this. But I could sign a deal with Tony Khan. TJ, what's up? I could sign a deal with AEW for $100,000, and I could work indies. I could sell my merch. I could Twitch. I could game. I could do this. I can make $200,000 playing video games and chatting with people online. And I just need to show up when AEW needs me there on particular days. And you add it up. They're making more money now by working AEW for a contract that is 1/3, 1/4 what WWE offers for most. But because they're on Twitch and they're making $100,000 on Twitch, wow, I could sit on my ass and make this money instead of killing my body. So that's what's going on. Notice how nobody ever wants to talk about what the AEW contracts really offer or the type of finances. You think it's so taboo that not one blue checkmark journalist out there has no clue what AEW offers as far as money-wise? Shit, 20-something years ago, we knew about wrestlers being offered $60,000 and others. It's not, and if you really wanted to, in some states, you could try to pull tax documents, it's, anyway, the bottom line, look, SoFly, Adam Cole makes, 100,000 plus on Twitch, over $100,000. Look at Paige's revenue. Why would anybody, no, I could make that money. And no, if you could make $100,000 sitting at home and work one day a week, and you realize that you not only are gaming and making that money, you're doing the things that you love. It is a release. You love some of these wrestlers. Adam Cole, he loves mingling with fans online. That's not fake. I watched some of his stuff. The guy truly, in this day and age, playing games is his release. Keeps his, mental, strength, the happiness. I think it was Michael Smith. If it was, welcome aboard. So Tony Khan's got to be awfully careful. The first tweet, I'm totally with him. Deep down inside, he understood WWE did not do that to fuck with him. They did that because of Saudi Arabia. And I'd be just as mad about the playoffs, but the point is, when you start following up these tweets, trying to compare this to 1998, and then lie and say that the internet was absolutely furious. Look, everybody, you think I'm lying? Go to Wayback Machine, go on their website, go to 1998, put in your favorite websites, put in your favorite message boards, because there are archives. There's archives for my website. I started running that website in 1998. And you find me the droves and droves. Somebody said to me earlier, and look, this is not a diss on Jason Salamonster. So everyone out there, don't drool. This is not a diss on him. Somebody actually had said to me, you got to pay attention. Jason will read people from message boards during the 90s and the 2000s. I'm sorry. The guy that wrote that to me was 11 years old during those message boards. I'm not going to take a bunch of people, 5, 10, 20, 50 people on a message board and use that when you don't know anybody's ages, when you don't know if they're just trolling, you don't know this, but you look at every wrestling news site at the time, you look at every wrestling hotline at the time, you look at Blackjack Brown, Mike Brown, me, anybody that was doing stuff at that time, and for some reason, nobody is reporting, wow, the outrage online towards Eric Bischoff, the fans want to strangle him, this and that. You tell me all the times, oh, well, there was bitter riot. This guy actually wrote that in the 90s, there was tribalism in wrestling. There was no fucking tribalism in wrestling. Everybody had their supporters. You think they turn around, oh my God, I'm a WWF fan. How could TV Guide put WCW on there? Boycott TV Guide. We fucking bragged that we were all wrestling fans. Holy shit. 5, 6, 7, 8 million people are watching wrestling on TV. You walk around your school and you see this one wearing a Goldberg shirt, this one wearing a Bret Hart shirt, this one wearing a DX shirt, this one wearing an NWO shirt, this one wearing a... Everybody bragged. They loved it. Nobody, for the most part, in 2021 is doing what was at that time. And most of the people out there, the loudest ones, you'll see a little pattern online. A lot of them, you have no idea how old they are. Some guy was writing to me earlier. I looked at his page. I originally was going to respond. I said, well, based on your age, you must be 5,700 years old because his profile pic is a beach. The pattern I notice is most of these people don't post pictures of themselves. You don't even know if they were alive during the Monday Night Wars. I was around that time. Meanwhile, if you look at their history enough, 2 years ago, they went to their senior prom. Tony Khan, please. All right. Do not take the free advertisements. All of these podcasts that say how amazing you are. Believe me, everybody tuning in right now, I could almost speak for all of them. They're going to watch you or AEW because they like AEW, not because WWE is bad. Wrestling is not must-see TV like it was back then. So if WWE sucks and AEW, I'm not a fan of either, guess what? I'm going to go watch porn. I'm going to go watch sports. I'm going to game. I'm going to go out to eat. I'm going to go to a coffee shop. I'm going to go hang out with my friends. I'm going to do a lot of other things. All right. I'm not going to sit at home and force myself, but I have to watch wrestling. WWE, I have to watch it. If I want to watch AEW, I will. I don't need a podcaster to tell me to watch it because I'm stupid if I watch WWE. Because WWE is the evil person. How dare they overlap us? As a professional businessman, he is pissed. And as I said earlier, ask yourself how many people that watch Dynamite only watch AEW programming. You have no idea the answer. But if you pay attention online, almost everybody that tweets about Dynamite as it's happening seem to be watching Raw because they're tweeting about Raw. They seem to be watching SmackDown. They tweet about SmackDown. Was it 40%, 30%? Only watch AEW and nothing else? So now people have to make a choice for that half hour. If I was Tony Khan next Friday, you already have your matches booked. You haven't had them yet because they're being taped next Wednesday. Instead of trying to get people angry, because fans are going to watch what they want to watch anyway. They're not going to watch it to spite you or to spite WWE. WWE's so fucked up. Out of protest, I'm not watching that other half hour. You know what'll happen? You'll get 10 million people online who'll say, Tony, even though I'm a WWE fan, because of what they did, I'm not watching that half hour. I'd rather watch the bugs crawl on my wall than watch WWE for that half hour because it's the right thing to do. Fuck that. All these people will tweet about it, but in actuality, that's the same people that say, look, everybody, I canceled my WWE Network subscription because of what they did with Roman Reigns years back, because Goldberg beat The Fiend. Look, I canceled my subscription. But meanwhile, it's a Google image, copy of a Google image from someone else. Oh, yeah, Necro Reefer. That's why I don't tweet that much anymore. But the reason why I talk about it is because that is the representation of today. Because Twitter is used for politics. It's used for everyday life. It's white culture, black culture, this, every agenda, anti-vax, pro-vax, freedom, anti-freedom. Everything goes through there. It's the mob mentality. And that is the source of it. When Tony Khan says in the 90s it was the chats and the message boards, he is absolutely right. But guess what, everybody? And I'll leave you with this and we'll move on. You do, that guy said, Jason reads those message boards. Again, this is not a shot on him. He does awesome work. I like Jason with friends. He does great work. Support him. But go back and look at the message boards he's reading. Go do a Wayback Machine search and look at the screenshots of chats, transcripts of message boards, old posts. You can see them all. Go watch when Owen Hart tragically passed, everybody how they were talking. Or when Eddie Guerrero passed, or when WCW went out of business, or when NWA TNA first started, or when Ring of Honor first started, or the controversy here. Go look at those message boards. You know what you'll find? That's weird. 10 million people watch wrestling. If I go on this message board, I only see 40 people posting. That's weird. And these websites seem to be covering all this tribalism outrage as people claim happened back then. But I don't see 10,000 people on these boards. I see 50. I see 40. This is a fringe element. There are people out there that have to bitch to bitch. It's been like that since the beginning of time. Back in the caveman days, this cow meat is tough. This deer is not, it's overcooked. My wheel is not smooth enough. This fucking wood sucks. Can't you fucking... People will bitch about everything. Tony Khan, be very careful. That was a little longer than I expected it to. But that's okay. That's all right. I hope you realize at the end of the day, I want AEW to succeed, kick ass. Honestly, for every single one of you tuning in right now, I ask you this question. Let's say a year from now, 5 million fans a week are watching wrestling. You add up Raw or SmackDown, or take the average of the two and add AEW. You could add Impact Wrestling, MLW, add them all together. And let's say a year from now, 5 million fans are watching wrestling on TV. 6 million fans are watching wrestling on TV. You mean to tell me that you wouldn't take a step back and say, wow, it's pretty fucking cool right now to be a wrestling fan. Wrestling doubles and triples in viewership across the board. You see those whack jobs out there that'll crack jokes of AEW or crack jokes at NXT, get their fill, get that, feeling of attention, and then they'll write the tweet, oh, look, everybody, at the end of the day, we're all wrestling fans, and we should enjoy everything, and we should be proud we're wrestling fans. And then a day later, make fun of this, and then make fun of fans of this person, or make fun of this. And then after that, gets old, and the condom is no longer usable. Oh, no, at the end of the day, we're just wrestling fans. You got to stay away from those whack jobs, too. What do I think about Sonya Deville's return? Next week, Sonya Deville will be taking on Naomi. I absolutely love it. I saw that clip from, what was it, like the bump or whatever, where somebody asked Sonya Deville, how do you feel about home invasion because of Seth Rollins showing up at Edge's house? I felt bad for Sonya being asked that question, but I'm sure before the show aired, they go over the topics. There is, a pre-record where they discuss what they're going to talk about, and Sonya and everybody else there knew the topic of Seth Rollins and Edge was going to come up. So I don't think anybody was just stupid or heartless. I think that was done. Yeah, Sonya Deville, until you're asked that question, oh, no big deal. It's a storyline. When you asked it, then emotions start coming back, you could see. But, people are like, oh, they should fire that guy. I think that was a little much, to be honest with you. But Sonya DeVille coming back next week to take on Naomi. I think it's great. It's nice to see that she's back. It's nice that they're not adhering to that storyline that she lost to Liv Morgan and that's it. She gets no shot at a return. Or Mandy Rose, excuse me. No. What am I saying? Oh, anyway. So, let me take off all these WWF and WCW pictures because we got to talk about a few other things before we get out of here. We're already at 90 minutes. So now we got to go rapido a little bit. Okay. Let's talk about the King of the Ring tournament, the Queen of the Ring. Okay. Yesterday on SmackDown, the brackets were announced. Yeah, sure. There was a lot of names missing on here. Because again, a lot of people who were complaining about these brackets are forgetting something. If this event in Saudi Arabia was not happening, we probably wouldn't have had the tournament, or we would have had it. We probably would have had different participants. Just look at the storyline with Charlotte. How could you have a Queen of the Ring tournament or Queen's Crown tournament without the Queen? Right? This was done. Keep in your back of your mind, only people who are going to Saudi Arabia are going to be in the finals of this tournament. When people were writing that yesterday, and I saw a lot of the noise, this is what you come up with on both sides? Are you kidding me? Yeah, because not everybody goes to Saudi Arabia. That's the reason why it's not $50 million. You know, you got to sell them on some awesome stuff. You know, we can't do this title change. We cannot have Roman Reigns drop that title. No way, shape, or form. We cannot have Roman Reigns drop that. I don't, you know, but what if we did the finals for the King of the Ring? What if we did the first ever Queen's Crown tournament? Remember when they showed you the picture of the crown? They said, that's the Saudi Arabia colors. You mean to tell me nobody realized at that time that's the reason why they're having these tournaments? To have a final in Saudi Arabia. So that's the reason why you have some names on here. So now yesterday, they did obviously the left side of the brackets because the left side represents SmackDown right now. And some people were outraged, a little too outraged that Zelina Vega beat Toni Storm. Oh my God, Toni Storm's career is dead. No, because Toni Storm, you know, Saudi Arabia, Carmella, oh my God, she beat Liv Morgan. The fuck? Liv Morgan was the most over person. She should have won Money in the Bank and she loses to Carmella? Yeah. Because chances are either Carmella or Zelina Vega were going to be the ones going to Saudi Arabia. Now, we don't know which one yet, but that's the reason why this outcome happened. Not because they've been, look, I could understand for other weeks, if you see someone repeatedly lose, then you have every right to say that about Liv Morgan. Yes, she lost recently, but she also won too. I think some people have some very, very short-term memory. Liv Morgan recently won a match. In my opinion, this is what I think the Final Four comes up with. Yes, we already know Zelina Vega and Carmella, but remember, I have to take the picture away from it. Remember a week ago? Remember Doudrop looking at Shayna Baszler like Shayna Baszler just shit her pants and she smelled it? Doudrop was like, you see that look on her face? It's like she walked past Shayna and Shayna maybe farted. Big wet fart. And she's like, so you don't think that because the match is going to... of course. We got 2 Raws before Crown Jewel. So we're probably going to have Shayna Baszler advance and Doudrop advance. And that'll be the Raw match the following week. And then it comes down to the winner of Carmella and Zelina Vega versus the winner of Shayna Baszler and Doudrop. And for me, personally, who's going to walk around with the crown? Because remember, the crown will be awarded at Saudi Arabia's event, but that crown will remain after Saudi Arabia. King Nakamura, or as Boogs would say, Nakamura, he had to relinquish his crown yesterday. So that crown is going to go to somebody else. It's the same crown. So this is why you have these brackets. If you put Charlotte in the bracket, you could have Charlotte lose to Shayna Baszler or Doudrop or Natalya or Dana Brooke. No. I mean, that's the reason why some very big names are absent. So now we go on the men's side. And they announced this bracket. Oh, look at that. Look in the right side. Remember what I said on Monday? You think WWE would do Kofi Kingston versus Xavier Woods? Could happen. But this was the brackets announced yesterday. Now, let's be totally honest, everyone. And Shayna Baszler, my pick would be Shayna Baszler. Remember the conversation that we had on Monday about Shayna Baszler? Remember when I posed that question about sexuality? And I said, you see how, certain people are treated overseas. Because Shayna Baszler is my pick to win, even before they announced the brackets. We talked about it on Monday. And I said, look, it's not a great question to bring up. It's a very sensitive subject. But will we see, anybody there that is gay or, bisexual? It's something you really have to think about for real as far as Saudi Arabia goes. And again, I don't live there and I'm not, trying to shit on any, countries or anything like that. But that's something you really got to think in the back of your mind when you see some of this stuff. I'd still go with Shayna Baszler because she's one of my favorites. And I'd like to see her walk around with the crown. Queen bitch, the ultimate bitch. And remember, she's going to SmackDown after also. So it'd be interesting to see her walk around with the crown. But if she ends up not advancing to that final, then you got to start thinking about that in the back of your mind. So now the reason why I say all that is let's go back to this. Sami Zayn. Anybody really thought that Sami Zayn was going to show up there? A lot of people said there's no way Sami Zayn is going to show up there. So are you really surprised that round one ends up with this? Hold on. There you go. Sami Zayn advances. Finn Balor advances. But if Sami Zayn is not going to Saudi Arabia, I think it's pretty much a given that Finn Balor is going to go to the finals. And Finn Balor will be taking on the winners of the two brackets on the right. Yeah, Kevin Owens not in the King of the Ring tournament. Well, is Kevin Owens even going to Saudi Arabia? We don't know. That's why my whole point is I saw people outraged at these brackets, not thinking, wait a minute, this is being designed for Saudi Arabia. Sami Zayn being put in this tournament, Sami Zayn doesn't go to the final. He's in the tournament, but he never had any intention of going to Saudi Arabia. So if Finn Balor goes to the finals, you see where I'm going with this? You got to remember about them going to Saudi Arabia. That's why this tournament is happening. The New Day, they go to Saudi Arabia. So, any of those four on the right could very well go to the finals. Ricochet, I honestly don't think is going to win against Xavier Woods. And the only reason why I'm going to stick to my predictions is because I said that last Monday. I said I'd like to see Kofi versus Xavier. I think that would be a very intriguing match, not this Monday, but the following Monday on Raw. And it could very well end up being Finn Balor versus Xavier. Yes, it could be Finn Balor versus Jinder Mahal. Sure, absolutely. But remember, if you do not bring up Saudi Arabia and certain people that are not going, then you're being disingenuous about this tournament. Because yes, there are a lot of people on this tournament that I would say, I wouldn't have this person in there, especially on the women's side. There's a few names on there. I'd be like, no, I would put this person instead. They're more deserving. I put this person instead. They're more deserving. So, I think people are really putting too much thought into these two tournaments because it's more of to have a high profile match in Saudi Arabia. if the Queen's Crown tournament or Queen in the Ring was so important for WWE, why didn't they do it last year or the year before or the year before or the year before? Why not? Why not? You mean all the Crown stores were closed in the last 2 years because of COVID? WWE wants something, they can get it. So those are your brackets for the tournament. Not too bad. Speaking of tournaments, AEW next week is bringing back the world title Eliminator. The first bracket will be announced next Saturday. So, look, AEW has a stacked 1 hour schedule for next week. But look, man, it's not the end of the world if that rating is not all that spectacular. Even if fans decide to watch SmackDown for that half hour over AEW, that doesn't mean that they're not going to watch Rampage the next day or the day after. Yes, it means a lot to AEW because of what I always said. Advertisers, networks, promotions. Those are the three that should care about the ratings more than anyone else. Because for us wrestling fans, don't you think, well, as long as we watch Rampage some point during the week, that's what matters. The problem is, and again, I love Meltzer. I've been subscribing to him for well over a decade. I'll never forget his generosity, not only for the Conan Drive, but when Chris Candido passed. His generosity was just over and above a lot of others. But, when he posted early on, remember the first couple of weeks of Rampage, that 1.1 million viewers stopped by and watched Rampage for at least 5 minutes. Or stop by and just pass through. I mean, that's like if I'm in a club and I'm like this and I smell like a pig and I have zits all over me and I'm not dressed right and my hair is all like this, and a girl walks by and she looks at me and then she keeps walking, then I can say, well, you know what? She looked. Some people are just, they mean well. And I'm not putting Meltzer in this. The point is that when Meltzer writes that, 500 other people write it too. And you got to be careful. I'll lead to MLW. A lot of you out there wanted me to comment about MLW's rating. 40,000 viewers. I'm going to answer this on both sides. For the first Fightland episode, when you look at MLW's viewing history, God bless those people that always tried to insist us that, MLW is getting 200. Somebody actually tried to convince me today that Ring of Honor gets 300,000 viewers a week. Okay. But 40,000 viewers, that may not sound like a lot, and it's not a lot. But and again, I'm going to look at this on both sides. For the first time around, on Vice, 40,000 viewers. Okay, now we have a good starting point. Now MLW, as time goes, now they're going to build on that. You don't want MLW to start off the gate. Just imagine if they start off like Rampage did. They do 400,000 viewers. And then 2 months later, they're down to 80,000. People are going to be like, oh my God, they lost 70% of their viewers. Just think, since AEW, the first dance, they've dropped 65% of their viewers. You think 65% of AEW fans are now like, Rampage? No. CM Punk against Daniel Garcia? No, thanks. No, they're not turning away. It's just not, I have to see it at 10 o'clock on a Friday night. That's the point. But you don't want MLW to start off with a crazy big number. And as weeks go by, it gives the impression, wow, it's going down, 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 and down. That's not a momentum. That's not a picture that you want to, paint for MLW. MLW doesn't have a Wednesday night primetime show. AEW does. So Rampage, 1 hour pre-recorded. Spoilers are out 48 hours in advance. Sure, the number's not going to be all that great. MLW, this is all they got. So 40,000 viewers, you got your starting point. Here's the negative side of it. Dark Side of the Ring aired right before. Dark Side of the Ring did 137,000 viewers. So 75% of those viewers were like, no thanks, not interested in MLW. They watched Dark Side of the Ring, but chose not to watch MLW afterwards. So there's the negative there. They thought as a lead-in, they would retain a lot more of their viewers. But me, honestly, I'd rather MLW start like this than start like this and go like this. And for those on audio only, I'd rather MLW start small and build on their numbers than to start big and lose their numbers. Two different perceptions. So anyway, I wanted to point something out too, what I was saying earlier. When AEW announced that they were going to be airing Dynamite on Wednesdays, they made that announcement on July 24th. NXT, they made that announcement only about a week or two after. So NXT, this is very important. NXT made their announcement that they're going to be on Wednesday nights around 2 weeks after AEW did. Do you remember Tony Khan being absolutely irate that AEW makes their announcement on Wednesday night and then NXT announces Wednesday night about 2 weeks later? You remember outrage? No. Because I think deep down inside, people realized, oh, that's WWE's third brand. I mean, they never have a history of getting 1 million plus viewers. So AEW kicked their ass. They'll kick their ass. No problem. AEW will hand their ass. And then week after week after week, AEW ratings win. 1, NXT nothing. 2-0. 5-0. 11-2. 27-5. That's why you got to stop that shit, man. Because now it's not NXT for a half an hour on Friday. It's SmackDown. And it's not going to happen again, folks. You got the evening news, the local news. I saw people out there, what happens if Vince does this every week? Well, they do it an extra hour. What if they start doing it like Raw? You got local news. The only thing, if WWE ever wanted to go 3 hours with SmackDown, they could only do one of two things. They would have to start at 7 p.m. on the East Coast on Fox TV, whatever. Here it's Channel 5. That's why I say Fox 5. If they did 3 hour SmackDowns, they would either have to start at 7 p.m. instead of 8 p.m., or the third hour would have to be on FS1 or another network. Could not keep it on regular local news. I hate to break it to people out there, but probably about 5% of wrestling fans watch local news. So all those other people, I got to get my lotto numbers. I got to see what happened to my. Well, what's this? I got to wait an hour. I got to wait till 11 now for news. Those are people that don't research first, or they're trying to play on your emotions. All right. Very quickly, if you don't mind, we got a couple of questions from our channel viewers, our channel members. And I got news for you. Some of these questions, it's only 7 of them, but some of these questions are pretty damn interesting. Oh, please tell me I put them in the computer. I might have accidentally forgot to put them in here. Holy shit. Oh, that really sucks. Well, you know what? Let me see if I can pull him up. Just give me 1 second, everybody. I apologize. I downloaded so many freaking photos. Oh, you know what? Actually, yeah, I have them in front of me now. Just give me 2 seconds because we got to talk about Reggie Parks. Reggie Parks, and a lot of you may have heard of the name or, maybe never heard of him at all. He passed away over the weekend at the age of 87. That is the person I did the opening graphic for. And I have the questions here. I just downloaded the pictures. But this is something I really think you're going to find really, really cool. I got to give Conrad Thompson, yes, that Conrad, credit for some of this because he did a lot of research. Some of these photos he posted, some others I did myself, but Reggie Parks is the infamous Reggie Parks who created so many beautiful wrestling belts and beyond, UFC as well, that we have appreciated over the years. He died at 87 years old. They said complications of COVID. Look, you don't want to ever see anybody pass. I hope to live to 77. 87, ripe old age. Sure, you don't want to see anybody ever pass because of COVID. But, he passed away over the weekend. And here's a little video picture montage of some of the belts that he created. Actually, here, this is better. Look at all of these belts that this man has come up with. I mean, tell me this is not crazy. It's across NWA, WCW, UWF, AWA, WWF, Ring of Honor, IWGP, UFC, all these belts that you see on this screen, he has created. How freaking cool is this? I mean, and again, I got to give Conrad most of his credit because he's the one that did a lot of research and pulled these belts. But from the women's division to the NWA, I mean, God bless Harley Race. There's Steve Austin with his WCW title, Sherry Martel. I mean, Terry Taylor. So it's just wonderful, wonderful history. Bret Hart, and as I'm talking, I'm putting the pictures online from the questions, but Bret Hart posted a beautiful tribute to Reggie Parks over the weekend. So look, 87 years old, sad that he passed away from COVID, but, my God, talk about someone who lived a wonderful life. And so many people, I mean, are so proud to have held his title. There's John Cena, OVW title. I mean, it's amazing when you look back at it and see how many belts this man has created. Talk about talent, man. I mean, God, I tell you, there's some promotions out there. You're a little surprised that they didn't use Reggie Parks as their belt maker. There's Lex Luger, Kurt Hennig, God rest his soul. That's a beautiful title. Rugged Ronnie Garvin. I took about 50 pictures to show you. I tried to put as many different pictures as possible. I know some of them, maybe is the X Division title with AJ Styles. Brian Pillman, God rest his soul. Bret Hart, beautiful picture. Arn Anderson. And there's Goldust. Some titles, I think, just had like a different color strap to them. But yeah, Kenny Omega with the IWGP belt. Ultimate Warrior. That was beautiful. The wing belt is one of the most beautiful ones. There's Sting. Demolition. Love that picture. And I think we close out with Hogan. There's Flair with the WWF title, and there's Hulk Hogan. So beautiful. Oh, yeah, yes, Bret Hart. Very, very, very beloved guy, 87 years old. And I definitely wanted to pay a little tribute because, unfortunately, a lot of people, they'll just mention it. Oh, our thoughts and prayers. We are saddened to learn to death of Reggie Parks. They didn't care. Beautiful, beautiful belts. A lot of people in pro wrestling were proud to carry those belts, not just because of the promotions they worked for, but because of the beauty of those belts. And yeah, a lot of people in the chat room are fussing there. A lot of people had no idea. And I left some out. I mean, we probably could have threw another 50 pictures up there. I mean, a lot of local promotions, if they had the cash, Reggie Parks was not cheap, but you got what you paid for. And, thousands and thousands of dollars per title. But man, beautiful, beautiful belt. So Reggie Parks, rest in peace, brother. Rest in peace. All right, let's answer some questions. And I'm already seeing a little problem here that somehow I have 6 questions posted and I got 7 saved. So where am I missing one? All right, that one is there. That one is there. Just this will take me literally 5 seconds, everybody. That one. Okay, I'm missing this one. Okay, good. That's why, thank God, I always label these a little bit different. All right, no particular order. Kevon Lewis. Have I seen the latest Dark Side of the Ring, Johnny K9? And if so, what did I think about it? Okay. No, I did not see it. My honest opinion. And I'm sorry for sounding like a jerk when I say this. Johnny K9 was a dirtbag. Johnny K9 was in this hardcore, like devil worship, biker gang, had shit tattooed to him with a very shady past. I mean, one thing I noticed about these Dark Side of the Ring episodes, and Johnny K9 one is the most glaring of it. 99% of you out there, if I said to you, guys, gals, give me 50, give me 100 topics you'd like to see for Dark Side of the Ring, no one, maybe 1 out of 100 might come up with Johnny K9. You know why Johnny K9 was done? Because Cornette is part of these episodes. Because Jericho is part of these episodes. Because Impact Wrestling. I'm drawing a blank right now. Scott D'Amore, part of these episodes. Almost every person who was interviewed about Johnny K9 happens to do all these Dark Side of the Rings. So when they try to figure out who to cover, it's based on the people that are the regulars being interviewed. Not because it's a fascinating story, not because we want to see it, because all these people being interviewed came across this guy. That's why they did this episode. I could care less about Johnny K9. When you open up with he was beaten as a kid or treated like shit as a kid, you're okay. Now we're trying to not justify why he did what he did, but he had a rough life growing up. Well, guess what? I know a shitload of people had a rough life growing up, and a lot of you as well. And nobody turned into Johnny K9. The guy was a dirtbag. He was a criminal. A lot of people in wrestling knew that he was a criminal, but turned the blind side because he had a great look. He was halfway decent because we could make a little money off the guy. When they say, oh, he didn't make the money that he thought he would make in wrestling, no shit, because he was a muscled up dickhead. The guy was should never have been in wrestling. People allowed it because he had the look and because he could make a little money. One day he opened the door for the pizza man and he was naked. Ha, 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 ha. They interview some detective. They interview the ex-wife. He beat me to death. This guy had no business being on that show. That's just my opinion. Just because you're a fuck-up criminal doesn't mean you should have a TV episode done for you. The widow got a payday. The ex-wife got a payday. All these wrestlers being interviewed, you think they did it for free? You think they did it because because that? To me, that's a waste. That's a waste. Had no business being on my TV. So the answer is no, I didn't watch it. I'm not going to give it a rating. That guy was a piece of shit, shouldn't have been in wrestling, and, wasting an hour's worth of time talking about this guy. There's a ton of other Dark Side of the Rings that didn't involve dirtbag assholes. So, no, I didn't watch it. So, I thank you very much for the question. Definitely had no interest. Nero Faye, when do we think we'll finally get to see Mr. McMahon? I know that infamous picture that I did, Mr. McMahon. Yes, I used the same one as this. Remember that? I said he's either going to be Dixie Carter, and I spelled Carter as Khartr. He's either going to be Dixie Carter or Mr. McMahon. I think he will be Mr. McMahon, but I tell you, this weekend, he was a little bit of Dixie Carter. I always said that Tony Khan will be a character on TV. And his fascination with the Monday Night Wars and wanting to beat, I can't wait to finally beat you. This is a man obsessed with beating WWE. Sooner or later, he will probably try to do his own variation of Eric Bischoff. I said that with the elite, the super elite, the only thing they're missing to be an NWO storyline is if Tony Khan becomes an on-air character, turns heel, and starts favoring the super elite and giving them special privileges on TV and giving them easy matches. And now Tony Khan is sabotaging AEW, and then we're going to need somebody on behalf of AEW on the good side to feud with. That's what I always thought. I always thought that's how he would end up as a character. Maybe not in the beginning. Maybe he comes out, confronts someone, books a match, forces Kenny Omega to have a match, does this, does that. But you see that obsession with wanting to beat WWE. You saw those episodes of Dark where he came out there and got on the mic. I mean, look at this screenshot of the picture I posted. That's him trying to be a character. Oh, why? Not because it's YouTube? Oh, is it because it's Dark? Oh, that makes it different. That guy's going to do it one day. And I'm telling you, that'll probably be the way it goes. That guy is so obsessed with trying to beat WWE. If he thinks that he could be like an Eric Bischoff, what Eric Bischoff was to the NWO, you'll see that happen. And I talked about that over a year ago. Sooner or later, I think that's going to happen. You could see his attitude. You know, could you imagine him wanting to go on TV and bash WWE? And then people will write it off. Oh, no. That's not Tony Khan, the owner of AEW, on TV. That is the character, Tony Khan. Oh, I can't wait to see all those ridiculous people. Remember this timestamp. When that happens, you'll have people say, oh, no. Why is he so obsessed talking about WWE on TV? No, that's not the owner. That's the character doing that. You watch. And if anybody knows me, and I know it pisses people off, anybody knows me since 1997, I am creepy right on a lot of these. I have nailed things that the simulcast, Nitro, going off the air, probably the creepiest, eeriest moment of me ever doing this stuff. And that was in 2001. And there's still a lot of people who follow my shit that remember that episode. I just wish Captain Iva would have recorded it. So, but good question. Thank you for that. So thank you, Nero Fay, once again. Next question. Paul Bielowski. He wishes WWE and AEW could do trades like MLB. He would do Abaddon and Hangman Page for Kevin Owens and Carmella. What trade would I do? That's not bad. I mean, Kevin Owens for Hangman Page. Hangman Page has so much more of an upside that I can't see. You know, I would do Finn Balor versus Hangman Page. And I know what a lot of people are going to say, oh my God, Finn Balor's still one of the most talented wrestlers. Yeah. But look at Finn Balor now. He's done so little, yet so much on the main roster. I'm looking forward to him going to Raw because I want to see matches against AJ Styles. I want to see him versus Riddle. I want to see him tear it up with some of the stars on Raw. But at the end of the day, once Finn Balor goes through those stars, NXT's already been done. What is he going to do? Get drafted back to SmackDown next year? So I think it's going to get to a point where you've used Finn Balor so much in a certain way. I don't know if you could keep maintaining. And Finn Balor is too good to be enhancement talent. So I probably would do like Finn Balor versus Hangman Page. I would do that. So, but good question. Good question. And by the way, you know, I'm going to offer this more often for our channel members. Obviously, our elite members go first. Our VIP members, you know, follow. And, if you want, you could go check it out. The channel membership, I dropped it. I cut the prices in half. Not because, it's because I never wanted it to be a money grab. But if you want to become a channel member over here, by all means. And we might even do this again on Monday with Mish. I'm not sure yet, but it depends on how much we got to talk about. But not bad. Chris L., would I please show the match, the 2003 match between Sanjay Dutt and Low Ki from the Elks Lodge? You always heard about it, wants to see it. I own, along with the Mass Maniac, we own the footage of it. I went partners with the Mass Maniac for that episode. That is the infamous match I always talk about, where Low Ki and Sanjay Dutt had a 6-star match at the Elks Lodge in 2003. And the match was so good, it got covered in a lot of magazines at the time. And this is why I always disliked Low Ki. He did an interview like a year later. I don't remember what radio show it was. And they said, what are your memories of that match with Sanjay Dutt last year? I mean, they talked about how they heard it was so amazing. And Low Ki's answer was, it was incredible. I wish it happened in another promotion. Fuck you. Seriously. There was almost 1,600 people in that building that night. And it was the last ever show at the Elks Lodge. And by the way, if you didn't check out the Thursday show, I showed some exclusive video footage of the triple threat from that night, getting nuclear heat, tons of garbage being thrown in the ring, and Bam Bam Bigelow mooning the fans. There's a timestamp on that episode, so go check out Thursday's episode if you want to see some freaking nuclear heat. Shane Douglas, Sonny, Chris Candido, Bam Bam Bigelow. But that night had that match. This Thursday, I will air that match for you. So this Thursday, if you want to see in the Meltzer ratings a 6-star match between Sanjay Dutt and Low Ki from 2003, right here, Thursday night, I will air it. So good question. All right, this one's gonna get some attention. And I answer anything. Like I said, you ask me, you support what I do. I owe it to you to give you honest answers back. This is from Ronald. He knows that I'm against doing reunion podcasts, but he wanted to throw out this idea. How's about me doing one reunion DTKC episode when I reach 50,000 subscribers? Just an idea. So his idea is to do a reunion DTKC episode when I reach 50,000 subscribers here. I'll consider it. Obviously, someone else would have to say yes to it as well. But hey, if you out there want to see it that bad and there's enough demand for it, I will honestly consider it. I will consider it. I'm not saying, look, it's the reason why I don't want to revisit that is because if you do one, then people get to want another. People get to want another. And again, the reasons why those shows stopped, I still see it. If I do Google searches, I see Reddit posts pop up. Hey, how come DTKC shows no more? And there's a lot of people that know the reasons, but want to paint it as, oh, Don Tony wanted to go video and, the other person didn't. That's not the answer at all. I always tell everyone, tinyurl.com/RIPDTKC. That's the reason why it stopped. I don't have any angst or anger anymore, but, it was what it was and I moved on. I don't hate anybody out there. I'm disappointed. And again, what a lot of people seem to either ignore intentionally or fail to realize is that there was more than one incident. It was quite a few. And yes, I am an asshole. There's no question. I could, not as much as before, but I can be an asshole too. But, usually if I'm an asshole, I am directly in somebody's face saying what I say. I don't say one thing online and then privately say, tons of other stuff. But look, I mean, like I said, there's no anger, there's no animosity. We still have the Patreon channel, and he has his work on there. And I always tell everyone out there, if you're a Kevin Castle fan, go check out the channel. It's not like, we're breaking the bank over there. I mean, at the end of the day, what do we make, or of a Patreon? 60 cents when you figure it out. But I'll consider it, man. If we get to 50,000 subscribers and he's willing to do it, I would consider it. Look, man, a lot of people out there wanted to go to Patreon if we did a show together, and said, no, it's not about money. It's just about, principle and, for various reasons. And, when you see that post and you realize there's other things there too, I was like, I just can't do shows with, like that. It's just, it would not be me being honest, and I'm not going to do it simply for cash. So, but I would consider it, man. I appreciate Sam and everybody out there, but again, there was a lot more than that. But and for people that are going to ask, the only reason why I never posted other examples, screenshots, is because since I started in '97, one thing about me is, respect is very, very important. Family, friends, business. And the thing is trust. And even when I got ripped off for thousands of dollars with the XPW stuff, with the bus trips, when those shows were canceled, I gave everybody their money back, even though I never got the money back from XPW. And that's only because of that piece of shit Slash put it in his pocket. Rob Black gave him the money to give back to me, and this guy put it in his pocket. I got revenge. But the thing is that my word is my bond. And there's a lot of people out there who have trusted me with some very, very personal stories. People in wrestling also. I got some very, very personal stories about experiences I had with people in wrestling that I would never make public out of respect for that person. When people in private say to me, DT, if I show you this, you got to swear to me you don't show anybody. You got to promise me you don't make it public. And I said, sure, you got my word. And then I see it, and I'm like, oh, I want to show everybody this. I want to, oh my God, if people saw this, game changer. But it's like, I promised the person I would never post it, and I don't. And I'm glad. I'm glad, because I don't want controversy. I don't want any friction. I don't want hatred. I just want to have fun. And these shows are fun. Eating that garbage popcorn the other day, that was not fun. That was not fun. And by the way, I didn't get sick from it, but I'm just here to have fun. Seriously. Talk wrestling, talk about real life, be honest, straight up, have, the kahunas to take a stance on something, not be sheep, and have, different opinions. And I take pride that this chat room is not a toxic chat room. You look at chat rooms of a lot of other shows, even people who are, the poster childs and the most beautiful, nicest people in the world, their websites, their Facebook groups, their podcast chat rooms, their Discord chat rooms are toxic shit, garbage. And don't tell me that somebody can't moderate a Discord channel or a Facebook page or a chat room on YouTube. All right. Austin, Lee, shout out to him, Mish, they handle the helm over here. But I had a Facebook page 15 years ago with 10,000 people. And sure, there were nights where, people just spammed it with garbage, and then we would have to stop what we're doing and stop it. But the point is, it's not rocket science. You only need one person to do that shit. And people just don't. They let the trolls be the trolls. Why? Because so much of their audience is negative trolls, cracking insults, jokes, putting people down. Because if they eliminate that home for those trolls, they lose a big part of their audience. I'd rather have a smaller audience that has a great time, that gets their mind off their problems, than to take the shows and use that as a reason to vent by putting other people down. I want people to get their mind off their problems by laughing here, not by saying, fuck you, Vince, fuck this, fuck that, I hate this person sucks, she's a bitch, this, what a toxic person, cancel this person, this and that. No, that's not what I'm here for. So Anyway, but thank you for the question. I'm dead serious, man. If enough of you, look, if we get to 50,000 subscribers and a lot of people subscribe simply because they want that episode, I swear to God, you heard it from me right now. I will 100% ask him, hey, you want to do one episode just for fun? I don't have that kind of anger. You know what I mean? There's no anger. It's just, move on. And that's it, And plus, I think we've developed like a nice, beautiful brand here. And I am going to be doing some special episodes with other hosts. I mean, Lee wants to do an episode together, and I'm down for it. Connor from OKFabe wants to do one. Hell, Joe Cronin, I keep forgetting to DM him because he wants to do something. And there's a few others out there that I am going to ask. People are still demanding that I do that episode with Vince Russo. I would love to do one with Jason. I'd love to have a debate with JD. There's a lot of shows out there I'd love to go back and forth with. It'll happen. It's just, there's so much going on in everybody's lives, and this is not a cop-out. But, let me tell you something. Even though my style and show might be different than Jason or JD or Lee or Mish or any others, one thing is for sure. Everybody is working their asses off. Not just with the shows, but in real life, having families, careers, jobs, businesses, just everyday stuff. So, it's everybody's working their asses off. But yeah, look, I'm down for it. We'll see. So, Ronnie, thank you for stirring it up. All right, two more. Roger Rubio, baseball. He's going to his first WWE event in 9 years. Monday is his birthday. Happy birthday, Roger. We'll do it again on Monday. San Francisco Giants are playing the Dodgers in the playoffs. What are some of my favorite rivalries? Mets and the Cardinals, Yankees and the Red Sox. Mets and the Red Sox was more because of the 86 World Series. Dodgers, Yankees, without a doubt. Cubs and Cubs and the Cardinals, I always enjoyed. That's pretty much the extent of it. Even though I'm a diehard Mets fan, Yankees, Red Sox from the 70s was incredible. I mean, even the 80s, not necessarily 80s, the 70s and then the 2000s, when you have Manny and Clemens and A-Rod and, Pedro shoving down Don Zimmer. Who is BC, Antonio Jones? He says DT versus BC debate. Who is BC? I'm curious. Don't super chat that. Tonight's not about super chats, but I do appreciate them. Who is BC? I'm curious. Before Christ? Who is BC? But those are a few of my rivalries. Oh, as far as basketball, Knicks and the Pacers, that was pretty epic. Lakers, Celtics was pretty cool. Sean Ross? Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't think he has any interest in talking to yours truly. Long time ago, did not like his work at all. And then I started really seeing, the guy who does work his ass off, and he does bring up a lot of valid points. He does good work. I have nothing against the guy, but I just don't see, him wanting to do that. Just my honest opinion. BC Amplified, yeah, that's another one. Look, I'm down, pretty much, if somebody, all I really want though out of it, and it's not about money or anything like that, is understand my entire life, I hated debating people. When I went to school and we would have to debate, I would hide under the table. As years went by, especially with wrestling, I craved debates. I would see a topic, I'm like, oh my God, I would love to debate somebody on this. And one of the things that I hated was to have a topic, get really, really passionate about it, want to have this heated debate, and then realize that the other person that you're debating with might take it personal. You get really, really deep into. Some people get very angry and take things personal. There's what I love, especially with doing the shows with Mitch, is, whether it's the Velveteen Dream stuff or other stuff, we get really deep and disagree with shit. But when the show's over, we're like, man, that was a great show. And if we were hanging out together, we'd probably go out and get a drink. No suki after. But, it's while a show, it's take your side, stick to it. Another thing I hate too is taking a stance and then get into this whole passionate rant about something. And then, the person you're debating with says, yeah, you're right. And no, you're right. So if I debate someone, if they really hear what I say and are like, DT, I absolutely disagree with you on this and want to have even about the Tony Khan stuff. Hell, I'd love to debate Tony Khan. And one thing I will make clear, this goes back to the Dixie Carter days. The reason why I don't interview a lot of these people is because I would ask questions that I think should be asked. Dixie Carter got away with the cash flow positive comment. And I think that was with Sports Illustrated. And when she said, no, we're cash flow positive, a lot of people didn't understand what that meant. And the interviewer obviously didn't understand what it meant. And when she made that remark and it was not challenged, I'm like, look at this shit. And everybody online let her get away with it. Me, if that was me, I would have been like, well, wait a minute. Cash flow positive means blah, 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 blah. Are you in debt? Yes or no? And it would have been more than that. But obviously, when people do interviews, they don't want to get hit with questions like that. A lot of them, want softball, or they know, they want that person back for another interview. So they may have a little bit of a discussion, but they'll let it go to a certain extent and then back off. Because then they'll be like, oh, this person will never come on again. Me, I'm not interested in gotcha questions. I would never pull a Mike Johnson. When Mike Johnson got to ask that question to Triple H that time about the barbed wire stuff on the cage, and Triple H was talking about props. Remember Mike Johnson? If any of you out there never saw this or heard it, go on Google. I promise you, it'll make your night. Go on Google and type Triple H, Mike Johnson, blood and guts. Just listen to the back and forth between Mike Johnson and Triple H. Mike Johnson thought he hit Triple H with a gotcha question, and this was to support AEW. Mike Johnson got laughed at, not only from Triple H, but you hear people in the background laughing their ass off at Mike Johnson. And look, I have my differences with Mike Johnson over the years, but I truly felt bad for him that night. I mean, I'm not going to lie. There was a part of me that giggled. I mean, like a little kid, like getting their tummy, like scratched the first time. But I felt bad for him, for real. Google that. I would never do that. Even if I had ultimate comebacks to some questions to Tony Khan, I would never do that. Always be respectful. But no one is going to allow anybody to ask questions like that. So, but anyway, but it's not going to happen. So I don't count my hopes up. James Campbell, after reviewing the rosters post-draft, who else can I see challenging Roman Reigns after he's done with Drew McIntyre, as SmackDown seems heavy on the mid-card and light in the top competitors? Well, him versus Brock Lesnar will happen again. I believe Roman Reigns keeps that belt to WrestleMania. He will drop it to either Brock Lesnar or The Rock. Those are the two people. Now, remember, we're in October. After Crown Jewel, we'll be in November. So Drew McIntyre feuds with Roman Reigns. That could go into December. Once we hit January, you're now in Royal Rumble territory. And Roman Reigns could simply face someone in a tournament. So, and plus, they could still do some additional trades. That's not out of the question. There's some wrestlers in NXT that could ultimately be brought up between now and January. I'm not saying anybody in NXT is ready to take on Roman Reigns too, but a wrestler couldn't be signed. You know, not everybody in AEW is going to be there in January. Somebody in AEW could end up leaving between now and January, and who knows, goes on SmackDown. So anything is possible. Right now, you know, we got to get through Crown Jewel and see where that goes. And it's not a cop-out, but, you know, right now it's Drew McIntyre, it seems, and that would go for a month or two. And then when we get to Royal Rumble, you know, that's where we start seeing who has momentum, if anybody is brought up to the main roster, if any trades happen, if anybody gets signed. There's a lot of things that can happen between now and then. Yeah, Rich Holland could end up getting a big push. I don't know if he beats Roman Reigns. I mean, I don't know about that, even though Rich Holland at one point, you know, was on a roll in NXT until he had that horrible injury. So thank you, James, for that question. And thank you from some of my channel members who sent questions in. So Friday Rampage, Quick Killings. Thank you for subscribing, Quick. Friday on Rampage, we had CM Punk over Daniel Garcia, Ricky Starks over Brian Cage in the Philly Street fight. Obvious. I'd like to see Brian Cage leave AEW, go to WWE. I'd like to see Brian Cage versus Roman Reigns. Seriously. Brian Cage, one of the most misused wrestlers in AEW, period. Period. Not even close. Period. The Lucha Brothers over the Acclaim, which was a very good match. Jade Cargill over Sky Blue. They're just padding Jade Cargill's numbers. Her beating Nyla Rose and, you know, Thunder Rosa is not padding, but they're padding. They're padding. This is being padded for the TBS Women's Tournament. Jade Cargill, definitely one of those that you got to pay very close attention to. And again, I hope people realize now that this title is almost the exact same design as the TNT title. I love the people out there that say, I like the TNT title, but I don't like the TBS title. Okay. AEW is considering CM Punk versus Daniel Garcia too. I'd love to see it. I don't know if they would do it because at some point Daniel Garcia's got to get a win. And next week, CM Punk's getting Matt Sydal. You know, okay, you know, I don't know. You know, it's just, I think that's, you know, CM Punk needs a feud. I mean, him with Darby Allin, you know, okay, always wanted to fight Darby Allin. He represents AEW, blah, 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 blah. Where's his feud? What? Team Taz? CM Punk needs, and remember, this is one of AEW's biggest problems. They don't have these deep feuds that go for months and months and months. And I'll give you an example. Pac had a concussion. When he had that match against Andrade a couple of weeks ago, he got a concussion, and he was off TV because of it, or that's what they're saying. Now, you remember on Wednesday when Pac took that move from Adam Page off the top through the table, and you say to yourself, fuck, does he take a move like that after he just came back from a concussion? Pretty stupid, right? Well, does anybody in their right mind think that Pac would have been used the last 2-3 weeks if he didn't have a concussion? Look at Andrade. Andrade had one match in 3 months. Don't give me well, Pac didn't wrestle the last couple of weeks because he had a concussion. Bullshit. What about all the months that Pac didn't have a concussion? Remember going back to the Orange Cassidy Omega match? How many times did we see him wrestle? That's just an excuse. Oh, he happened to have a concussion. Otherwise, he would have wrestled those couple of weeks. Yeah, okay. Does Miro have a concussion right now? Is that why he's not wrestling? I don't think so. Very, very easy excuse to make when you think about it. So, what else we got? I think we're almost out of here. Oh, so, you know, I was talking about the tournaments earlier. the reason why we don't have to really get into SmackDown results was because, well, we had Fridays exactly what I said last week it would be. The only matches were the tournament. Right now, it's all about Saudi Arabia. Period. The draft is over. It's all about Saudi Arabia. Once we get through with Saudi Arabia, that's where it's back to business. The contract signing yesterday with Bianca Belair, Sasha, and Becky, enjoyed it very much. Bianca doing a KOD, Becky and Sasha. As of right now, I truthfully believe that Bianca Belair will win the women's championship. I really do. I just don't know what they're going to do as far as the Raw Women's Championship and SmackDown. I get that bad feeling they're going to do the same thing like they did with the Street Profits and the New Day. Give each other your belts. Charlotte, I think she keeps that title going into Crown Jewel. If she's not going to Crown Jewel, I mean, we only have one more SmackDown. We have 2 Raws, but still, you think Charlotte, is she advertised for a big match Monday? No. So, Sam, I forgot to check the predictions for this draft contest Monday. You have my word. Tonight, after I put the show online, I will go through all the draft entries. Monday, we'll make it official. You have my word. You have my word. I knew I was forgetting something. We did a predictions contest amongst everyone out there. Who got the most, draft moves correct. So I will spend tonight and get that done. So with that said, Impact Wrestling's rating was 111,000 viewers. That is down 3.4%. Dynamite, we already talked about it Thursday, 1,053,000, which is down 8.6%. I'm not trying to stir anything up right now, but one thing you realize that over the last 17 days, only 3 shows had an increase in ratings. Raw, SmackDown, NXT. Yes, NXT went down 3.5% this week, but 2 weeks ago, they had a nice little jump. There was about a 10-day span that every show on TV went down in the ratings. I think it was SmackDown that broke that streak. Put it this way, seriously. I'm not concerned with AEW's ratings at all. Not concerned at all because of the reasons I've already given. But if anyone out there really wants to be concerned about AEW's ratings, I would be more concerned about the fact that AEW's Dynamite show has gone down about 19% in the last 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, they went down like 9.5%, and this week they went down 8.6%. Now, when you're Impact Wrestling and you have 120,000 viewers, losing 20% comes out to about 24,000 viewers. Wow, we're down 20%. It's only 24,000 viewers. When you're down 20% in AEW, now you're talking 250, 300,000 viewers. So, that, and again, remember, TNT, Turner, the network paid $144 million for AEW. Now, remember, for the first 2 years, that $144 million was giving them 700,000, 800,000. So they're doing fine. That's why, like I said, I'm not concerned with their rating at all. But look at the payroll from a year ago. Somebody on Twitter, I don't remember the name of the person, but if you want to do a search, this is one that you would really appreciate. Somebody on Twitter, if you go in the search box, put list of everybody AEW signed in 2021. Or just type in the search box, AEW signed in 2021. They put a photo montage of everybody AEW signed in 2021. It will blow your mind, especially when you realize that Pineapple Pete and maybe one other person are the only people who have left. You look at their roster from last year, and then you see how much they added to it. Even if those salaries were only 1/3 of what WWE would have paid them, you add up how many people. I mean, you have to obviously go up in buys. Yes, you get great crowd attendance, but remember, those venues cost a lot of money as well. And that's why your T-shirts are $37 with shipping. And that's why you see some of the crazy prices you see. So be prepared for that. AEW, they don't just want ratings, obviously. They want people to buy the pay-per-views. They want people to buy the merchandise. And if you keep giving these pay-per-view name quality matches on free TV, by the time pay-per-views come around, I mean, you have to advertise like the craziest shit to try to draw people in. So they got to be really careful, man. They got to be really careful. I'm very curious to see what AEW's roster looks like a year from now. Sooner or later, Tony Khan is going to have to make some cuts. And the big question is, how do those cuts happen? I know this is going to sound nuts, private companies, not publicly traded company. If he doesn't come to terms with a wrestler and that wrestler decides to move on, is there a little parting gift? So to say, look, it's time. I decided, I want to branch out, or I want to take a little time off. I want this, to be diplomatic about it. So it looks like, it was mutual on both sides. We thought that, it'd be better for both sides. How many people do that? Or how many people, because it's strictly business, that was the mistake that Dixie Carter made. Dixie Carter thought because she was Aunt Dixie and she was over the top, wonderful with everyone, that once they would leave, it hurt her feelings to have these wrestlers look back and say, just business. She was a problem. She should have let us do what we did. Look at some of the comments that were said. She realized after that all that appreciation and love that were given to her, those wrestlers worked hard. So she got her money's worth. But for those wrestlers, they weren't staying extra time because it was AEW and how wonderful Dixie is. It's a business at the end of the day. AEW is a business at the end of the day. Tony Khan, it goes out of his way for his fans. But when you have a lot of fans saying, you should delete this, you shouldn't say this, there's no reason to say this, obviously those fans are concerned. Whether it's like someone said earlier, maybe poking the bear. But let me just say one last thing before we go. Who do I have winning the fight tonight? Which fight are you talking about, SoFly? There's a lot of fights going on. Let me know. But one thing that you are left with tonight, and this is very important. See this tweet that we talked about earlier? The one for my audio only friends, him complaining about WWE going a half hour head to head with them. That tweet. And then this one talking about 1998. One thing that is very important about all of that, whether he's right or he's wrong, now you're getting inside his head. Not just the supportive tweets. Thank you for supporting us. We're trying to give you the greatest show on earth and this and that. Now you're getting inside the head of Tony Khan versus WWE. Does that sound like someone who doesn't feel WWE, that they're competition at WWE? Or does that sound like someone that is hell-bent and obsessed to beat them in the ratings? He can't fall in that trap. He can't fall in that trap, because if he pushes it and pushes it and pushed it simply because that fringe element online are pushing it also, if WWE just decides, hey man, let's do this, what are you going to do next? What are you going to do next? That's why Tony Khan he has every right to be upset. For 1 week, shift your product to make the second half hour heavier. You'll have that big SmackDown audience. ending the show at 10:30. So hopefully they switch over to Rampage, give them an awesome half hour, and maybe they'll tune in next week. That's my answer to it. Fury was versus Wilder. You know what? I still like Tyson Fury. I am still, I didn't like the wrestling stuff. What he did with Braun Strowman was kind of like cacas, but how do you bet against Tyson Fury? I don't know. I mean, I'm not like that into, like MMA and stuff like that, but Tyson Fury, okay, I like him. I'll go with him. The IIconics coming to Impact, like I've been saying, Impact's contracts are very, very minimal, would be the right way to say it. They're very minimal. If you really think about it, you don't think Tony Khan would offer a better deal to some of these names you hear rumored go to Impact Wrestling? You think Impact Wrestling is holding back from signing big-time talent so they could give the money to the IIconics? As much as we feel bad that the IIconics were released, people need to remember how horrible, that's kind of tough, how Shangada, or I'll say it nicely, Billy Kay was not the greatest wrestler in the ring. Billy Kay was better on the mic, going off back and forth with a partner. So you think they're going to tear it up in the ring? I mean, she wrestled for 12 years. I mean, maybe in this off time, maybe, I don't know. I'm willing to always keep an open mind with anybody. So, but, we need to remember the IIconics were more remembered for their mic promos than their in-ring wrestling ability. So them going to Impact, this is more about a personality signing than anything else. So we'll see. We'll see. But with that said, I think we are out of time. This Wednesday on Dynamite, we have Dante Martin versus Malachi Black. Bryan Danielson versus Bobby Fish. See what I said about Bobby Fish? Bobby Fish, I guarantee you his win-loss record is 250 or less. And what does 250 mean? 1 win, 3 losses. His record in AEW, he might get some bullshit wins on Dark or Elevation, which he has no business being on. Bobby Fish is a much better wrestler than to be on Dark or Elevation, but that's where you pad numbers. So when he's on Dynamite or Rampage, I expect him to lose a majority of the time. He's 45 years old. I don't see Bobby Fish leapfrogging about 15 people in AEW. So his match versus Bryan Danielson will be a fun match, but I think we know what the outcome is going to be. The Lucha Brothers versus a masked tag team brought in by Andrade. Okay. And the AEW World Title Eliminator Tournament brackets revealed. Oh, let me clarify something. The brackets for the AEW Eliminator will be revealed on Wednesday. Next Friday on Rampage will be the first. No, I have it reversed. Excuse me. We'll have. That doesn't make sense. Hold on a second. You know what? I don't think the AEW Eliminator Tournament will be revealed on Dynamite. It'll be revealed on Rampage. Remember, next week's Dynamite is on a Saturday. We have no Dynamite this coming Wednesday. It's preempted because of playoffs. So, so what are we doing Wednesday? I guess we're just going to talk NXT on Wednesday. So that means a shorter show. So looks like a decent card. But CM Punk, wrestling again on Rampage. I mean, you don't want fans to start being disinterested about CM Punk matches. We need some storylines. We need them to have a really, really good feud with a particular person and let it stick to it. I mean, Darby Allin versus MJF is a fun feud. But, you need to have some good feuds with some of these other guys. Not have him challenge someone and then they don't see each other for 2-3 weeks or just cut backstage interviews. That's not necessarily a feud. So, all right, everybody. I'm going to jet out of here. Awesome conversation with you all tonight. I hope that, what I said earlier, it made sense to a lot of people out there. Because again, for some of you out there who were too young, or maybe not even born, or maybe you just weren't in wrestling, involved in, as far as interested in wrestling in the mid to late 90s, you're not going to be told the truth online. And again, there is so much to back up what I said. And look at all the people that paid attention to the first tweet and then totally ignored the second one. And it's that just shows you the disingenuous people out there, because those people do not want to confront Tony Khan. Tony, what are you talking about? Besides, you were 15 years old at the time. What outrage are you talking about? You don't even see wrestlers or people from that era really speaking out about it, because they don't want to get on the very, very ignorant comment. But if you disagree, or if you have anything you want to add to it, post it in the comment section. And tomorrow I'm going to spend about an hour or two responding to all your comments during the week. I will definitely go through the draft predictions contest tonight. We will have a winner announced officially on Monday. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your weekend. So be well, stay safe. On your way out, if you enjoyed the show, smash that like button. And I'm digging Saturday nights hanging out with all of you. And thank her, because she allows it. She doesn't have too much of a problem with it. But I'll see you Monday night after Raw. And hopefully it's a good show. So thank you, everybody. Have a great night, and I'll see you Monday.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's alright. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.